Chapter 328. There are millions of fiend monsters in this stronghold. In addition, there seems to be an endless stream of fiend monsters coming from behind the stronghold. They're building some sort of array. Gu Chensha secretly observed. In the infernal domain, fiend monsters lived in harsh conditions. Only by building arrays and buildings could they escape the stinking swamp and find a better living environment. To catch bandits, first catch the king. I'll capture the 2 fiend monster leaders and refine them first. Or slowly devour the fiend monsters here. Gu Chensha calculated. Those 2 leaders are at the 21st transformation of the 5 element. I can block them, but the 22nd transformation fiend monsters aren't their match. The heavenly manifestations of heaven and earth are very difficult to deal with. It seems I'll have to first devour the other fiend monsters and cultivate the Mahakasayapa Black Sunday. Once he cultivated the Mahakasayapa Black Sun to greater success, his demonic flames would surge to the heavens. In the future there would be endless transformations. Furthermore, after absorbing enough fiend monsters, the Black Sun would transform into many fiend gods that could be absorbed by the heavenly demon tree. Boundless demonic energy was absorbed by the Mahakasayapa Black Sunday whoosh. Gu Chensha circulated his mystic art, hiding himself within the Mahakasayapa Black Sunday. He then activated the Sun-Moon Transformation's mystic art, imitating the aura of the fiend monsters. He circled around the Nether Iron stronghold and began dealing with the fiend monsters behind. There were too many fiend monsters and experts within the stronghold. If he fell inside, Gu Chensha might die. It was better to devour the fiend monsters and advance again. He landed on the ground and saw groups of ox-headed fiend monsters moving nether iron ores. These nether iron ores were transported near the nether iron stronghold and refined into pure nether iron to forge weapons and armor. At the same time, they were molded into modules for the grand array. Of course, other than nether iron ores, there was also nether jade. If these materials were obtained by cultivators, they would be first-rate materials for refining immortal artifacts after expelling their demonic energy. It had to be known that nether iron was infused with demonic energy from the infernal domain. It was extremely pure. It seems these fiend monsters have been building the array for a long time to activate some sort of power in an attempt to expand the seal. Gu Chensha observed for a moment. It seems I need to destroy the changes here and do my best to disrupt the fiend monsters' plans. He hid in the underbrush. Not far away, there was a group of ox-headed devils, all of them strong and powerful. There were about 3,000 of them, and they were transporting nether iron ores. Gu Chensha's figure flashed and turned into a black dragon. In the blink of an eye, these ox-headed devils were all turned into ashes. Their soul and blood essence were all absorbed by the Black Mahanada Sunday. The Mahakasayapa Black Sun absorbed the souls of the 3,000 devils. As it wriggled, it formed a black lotus the size of a soybean, upon which sat a devil god the size of a flea. Even though this demonic god was as small as a flea, it was extremely lifelike. It had 3 heads and 6 arms, and its aura was extraordinary. It sat within the black lotus and continuously chanted demonic incantations. The demon god in the Black Maha Sun was just a demon soul, not a puppet. It was still far inferior to the heavenly demon tree. Therefore, Gu Chensha's cultivation of the Black Maha Sun was only temporary. Once he succeeded, he would have to feed it to the heavenly demon tree. As the flea devil god chanted, the power of the Black Maha Sun grew stronger and stronger, and the black flames became purer. This devil curse was called the Divine Mahakasayapa Mantra, and this flea-sized devil god was the embryonic form of Divine General Mahakasayapa. The meaning of Mahakasayapa was grand and grand. The Divine Mahakasayapa Mantra's effect was to increase the power of all magical arts. For example, the Black Maha Sun's attack used demonic flames to incinerate everything. With the Divine Mahakasayapa Mantra's support, the demonic flames would be even stronger. When the divine Mahakasyapa mantra reached its peak, it might even be comparable to the Son of Heaven's God sealing art. After all, the divine Mahakasyapa was the king of myriad gods, the king of hell. This god's power was far above that of the other gods, so the techniques he created were naturally extremely profound. Unfortunately, Gu Chernsha had only obtained less than 1,000th of the Maha prison suppression scripture. He hadn't learned many of the Devil Tao's divine arts. Otherwise, he would be like a fish in water in the devil realm, and no one would be able to do anything to him. These nether iron ores are good stuff, but I can't collect them now. Forget it. Once I take over this place, the nether iron ores will be mine. I can use the ghost god touch to absorb them. Gu Chernsha killed this small group of 3,000 minotaurs, and the Black Maha Sun's power was even greater. He targeted another group. This group was dozens of miles away, and they had built a huge smelting furnace that was like bamboo shoots after a rain. These devils threw nether iron ores and nether jade ores into the smelting furnace and constantly smelted them. In the end, they turned into a liquid substance that had the characteristics of both jade and steel. The method of combining them was somewhat similar to human refining method. When humans refined armors and weapons, they usually used a combination of gold, iron, and jade. Gold and iron's characteristics were tyrannical, tough, and malleable. Jade's characteristics were gentle and could gather spiritual energy. The combination of gold and jade was a match made in heaven. This was also the case for the so-called golden jade. Immortal refining pills was also the same. Most of the materials needed to refine pills were gold powder and jade shavings. They were mixed together, smelted in the furnace, and supplemented with all kinds of plant. Gold was indestructible and jade was gentle. When the nether iron ores and nether jades merged together, the liquid was like mercury. It gathered into a river that flowed on the ground in the shape of a dragon. Under the pressure of the demon generals and demon commanders, many demons dripped their blood into the river. Some were even killed by the generals and commanders, and their corpses were tossed into the rivers, allowing their blood and souls to merge with the rivers. These rivers flowed into the nether iron fortress. Gu Chernsha was secretly alarmed. These countless fiend monsters were constantly forging. In the end, they would definitely form an earth-shattering grand array. He could sense that every once in a while, the nether iron fortress would become a little stronger. If he charged in now, he would probably be locked up. Kill. He activated it once more and charged into a group of 3,000 to 5,000 nether armor great demons. The leader of this group was a Tao Realm 7 transformation stage existence who had cultivated Xiantian astral energy. If he left the demon region and entered the human world, he would definitely cause a bloodbath. Unfortunately, Gu Chernsha wouldn't give the nether armor great demon a chance. His body was wrapped in the Black Maha Sun, and he suddenly charged out, turning the demon into dust in one move. Then, within the Black Maha Sun, a flea-sized demon god and a black lotus were born. Then, he controlled the Black Maha Sun to sweep this group. In just 10 breaths, thousands of demons died in his hands. A third demon god was born in the Black Maha Sunday. The Maha mantra became louder and louder. With the buff of this mantra, the demon flames could even vaporize the iron ores the moment they touched it. Hong Long. Just as Gu Chernsha was about to go on a killing spree, an extremely powerful wave of demon chi suddenly erupted from the nether iron fortress in the distance. Within the demon chi was the vague image of a monster clawing at him. The claw was a few acres wide. The moment it clawed at him, even though he was hundreds of miles away, Gu Chernsha felt like his essence, energy, and soul were about to be sucked away. If not for the fact that his realm had increased by a lot and he was already at the Tao Realm 16 transformation stage, it would have been tough for him to take it. Impressive. He's alerted the experts in the Nethermetal stronghold. The power of this expert has already surpassed the 21 transformations of the 5 element. He's reached the 22 transformations, the lawful manifestations of heaven and earth. Gu Chensha knew that he couldn't block this attack. Shua! He used his movement technique, and the earth energy in his body surged. In an instant, he was hundreds of miles away. Just as he escaped, the place where he was originally at turned into a pitch-black chaotic light, and everything was shattered. If he hadn't escaped so quickly, he would have been killed by that strike. But before he could stabilize himself, the demonic claw was already above his head. The demonic energy locked onto his soul and didn't give him a chance to escape. The demonic energy was extremely thick, and the demonic claw contained limitless power. The main body hadn't even landed, and the pressure was enough to crush mountains. Light of the sun and moon. Gu Chensha's body flashed once more, and he was hundreds of miles away. But he didn't stop. The demonic claw followed him once more, and its speed wasn't much slower than his. In just a few breaths, he changed his movement technique and escaped dozens of times. But each time, the demonic claw followed behind him and grabbed him by a hair's breadth. I can't go on like this. He has cultivated spiritual power, and if we compete in endurance, I definitely won't be his match. If I continue to escape, my Xiantian earth energy and Yuan Shun power will be used up and I will be killed. Gu Chensha calculated in his heart and was prepared to fight back. But just as he was about to fight back, the demonic claw didn't grab him. Instead, it transformed and took on a human form. This human form was that of a youth with a dark golden crown on his head. He was dressed in luxurious robes and looked like a disciple of a rich and powerful clan. No one would have thought that he was a peerless devil lord from the devil region. He sent out a mental fluctuation. The 19th prince of the heavenly talisman emperor is indeed extraordinary. Your cultivation is only at the 16th transformation. Even I, at the 22nd transformation, can't suppress you. But you are truly gutsy to dare to enter so deep into the devil region. Which devil king are you? Gu Chensha saw the demonic chi exuding from this person and knew that he wasn't a match for him. He was thinking of countermeasures and even wanted to devour this devil instead. Don't think of escaping. I've already cultivated heavenly manifestations and can use my spiritual power to manifest all living things in heaven and earth. Given your cultivation base, you won't be able to deal with me. The devil didn't answer Gu Chensha's question and continued, however, I don't want to kill you. I want to make a deal with you. How about it? What deal? Gu Chensha frowned. Seems like this devil wasn't simple. Chapter 329. This phenomenon of heaven and earth actually wanted to talk to him about helping him. This shocked Gu Chensha. Demons killed people and were really cruel. Even if one's cultivation was high, it was the same. This was something that the demon gave them. The fiend in front of him spoke with fervor and assurance, as if it was serious and not playing around. Gu Chensha knew that demons couldn't be trusted, but he had to fight a battle of wits and strength. He hoped that he would be able to gain an advantage. Since you even know my identity, then you should know that demons and humans are enemies. We won't attack you, but over the millions of years, demons have attacked humans and caused so many deaths. Now, you actually want to say that you want to help me achieve dominance. Do you think I will believe you? Gu Chensha looked at the demon coldly. It is simple. You have no choice. The demon's mental energy was really weird. If you don't agree, then you will die and become my sacrifice. If you agree, you will immediately obtain my support and your strength will increase by 1,000 times. You can't kill me. I knew that there was you and a 21 transformation old demon in this demon region. Would I have come down without any preparation? Gu Chensha chuckled. Your other comrade has cultivated to the 20th transformation and possesses immense magical power. He burrowed into my sea of energy and my sea of consciousness in an attempt to refine me. Unfortunately, I managed to refine him. When he heard this, the demon's expression became a little ugly. Skeleton Demon Emperor is useless. So what if he was refined by you? I, the Skeleton Ash Devil Emperor, am several times stronger than him. So, this fellow is called Skeleton Demon Emperor. Gu Chensha thought to himself. He probed, since you are so confident in capturing me, then do you know where the faction behind me is? I have a top expert behind me. If he comes, you won't be able to block him. You have built a faction called Calming Celestial Division. The strongest person is the Lord of 7 Stars. He is called Zhugaya. Skeleton Demon Emperor said. His cultivation is around 19 transformations. Or maybe he has used the Heaven Monster Book and Bujo Palace to reach 20 transformations. Truthfully, I am not his match, but he doesn't dare to come to the demon region. After he comes, naturally, demon emperors and demon gods will deal with him. As the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhugaya's latent talent was at the peak of the saint level, twice that of Fa Wuxian. That was indeed terrifying. Even at the Dao realm 14 transformations, he would be able to fight against experts at the 20 transformations. At the very least, at the same realm, Gu Chensha wasn't Fa Wuxian's match. At least, at the same realm, Gu Chensha wasn't Fa Wuxian's match. Gu Chensha knew that Zhuge had mastered the 20 changes: concentration, dispersion, impermanence, and mana. He had many tricks up his sleeves. The touch of ghost and god outside was guarded by his mana incarnation, Lu Yu, and the other 4 people. Moreover, Zhuge must have calculated his situation and would not put him in danger. Does that mean that I have no choice? Gu Chensha said. But what benefits do you want? Very simple. Once you obtain the throne, you will hold the decree and make me a true god. Skeleton Demon Emperor said his thoughts. In ancient times, there were demons who were made true gods. I am not the first, right? The Skull Ash Demon Emperor voiced out his thoughts. In ancient times, there were demons who were conferred the title of true god. I'm not the first one, right? You are really ambitious. Gu Chensha thought about it. If a demon was made a true god, not only would his strength increase, but he would also obtain a god throne and enjoy tens of thousands of years of lifespan. Even if the Skeleton Demon Emperor cultivated the 22 transformations, he would only be able to live for 2,000 years. The 18 transformations were the Great Tao Golden Core. After one cultivated it, one would have 1,000 years of lifespan. The 19 transformations wouldn't increase one's lifespan, but when one reached the 20, one's flesh and blood would merge into one and turn into spiritual power. That would increase one's lifespan to around 2,000 years. Then, the 21 and 22 transformations wouldn't have any fundamental changes. This was because they were just an evolution of spiritual power, so the lifespan wouldn't increase by much. But even if one cultivated to the 30 transformations, one would only have 3,000 to 5,000 years of lifespan. It was impossible to increase it further. The further one went, the harder it would be to increase one's lifespan. Even if one increased it by 1 year, one would have to spend a lot of effort. The laws of heaven and earth were like that. For normal people, even if the Yama King told them to die, who would be able to keep them alive? It was the same for celestial cultivators. Those at the 30 transformations were the same as gods, but those who weren't made could only live for 5,000 years. But if they were, they would live for 30,000 to 50,000 years. At the same 30 transformations, maybe the difference in combat strength wasn't huge, but the difference in lifespan was huge. For cultivators, combat strength wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was to live long. The decree hasn't appeared, and you think that I will definitely be able to get it? Gu Chensha asked. The talisman has already appeared. Skull Ash Demon Emperor said, you just don't know about it. If you agree to work with me, then you will know where it is. What? Gu Chensha acted like he was shocked. Actually, he knew where the talisman was. The talisman has appeared? Right, but I won't tell you now. The Skull Ash Devil Monarch said, "Furthermore, I will also impart the superior divine arts of the Maha Suppression scripture to you. The scripture that you have learned is too shallow and isn't a superior divine art. I know at least 1/3 of the essence of the Hellshaker scripture. Aren't you going to condense the heavenly demon tree outside? I can bring you to kill the demons of the other tribes to increase your speed. How about that?" In the demon region, there were all sorts of tribes and the battles were much more complicated than that of humans. This Skull Ash Demon Emperor wanted to use Gu Chencha's strength to wipe out the other tribes and kill the evil demons. Since that is the case, then it seems like I can do it? Gu Chencha thought about it. Working with this Skull Ash Demon Emperor was like asking a tiger for its skin, but he could still make use of this demon. With his help, it would be much easier to kill the other demon races here. If he rejected this demon now and had to attack him right away, it wouldn't be worth it. Why? What do you think? The Skull Ash Demon Emperor could tell that Gu Chernshao was a little tempted. He continued to urge, "Your Maha Hell Suppression scripture isn't complete. I will teach you the true Maha Hell Suppression scripture. You can use it to collect demonic souls and condense the heaven monster tree. How about that?" Since the Skull Ash Demon Emperor said so, I am also a little tempted. Let's see how sincere we are in our cooperation. How about this? Let me cultivate the many techniques in the Maha Hell Suppression scripture, and I will assist you to kill the demon races that are against you and strengthen your tribe. This can be considered an alliance. How about using this alliance to see how sincere we are? Gu Chernshao immediately thought of a plan that could satisfy both sides. That works too. The Skull Ash Demon Emperor's eyes turned gloomy. It was unknown what vicious scheme he was thinking of. After a while, he nodded and sent a thought over. Gu Chernshao carefully accepted it and saw many cultivation techniques in his sea of consciousness. They were indeed the profundities of the Maha Hell Suppression scripture. However, the content was 100 times more than what he had obtained from Yi Ming. Many of the scripture's profundities were much deeper, and there were all sorts of strange techniques and methods to refine Dharma treasures. This was the true Demon Tao, Hell Tao, and Purgatory Tao. Gu Chernshao pondered carefully and absorbed everything into his sea of consciousness. He let his 100,000 selves calculate and evolve. In just a few breaths' time, he had already comprehended many things. Many white spots appeared in the black sun behind his head. These white spots seemed to be condensing into demonic gods. As for the 3 demonic gods that were the size of fleas, they were originally black. Now, they had turned white and were filled with a sacred aura. Originally, the Maha Hell Suppression scripture was black flames and black demonic gods. But now, the Maha Hell Suppression scripture was black flames and white demonic gods. It was somewhat similar to the black and white Taiji diagram. Yin and Yang changed. Extreme Yin gave birth to Yang, and extreme Yang gave birth to Yin. The cycle of Yin and Yang didn't belong to the Demon Tao. It was a true supreme technique that merged good and evil in ancient times. Although God Maha was the king of evil gods, he wasn't an evil god. On the contrary, he was an existence that suppressed hell and could be called a supreme god. This god was split into good and evil. In legends, he was the god of creation and destruction. He was the god of extreme evil and also the god of mercy. He had 2 personalities. The techniques he created weren't evil. Gu Chernshao obtained all sorts of knowledge from the Maha Hell Suppression scripture. He combined them with the Heaven Demon Book's secret techniques and obtained a lot of experience. His common people heaven mending technique was nourished by this knowledge and deduced many things. This is the true Maha Hell Suppression scripture. Seeing the flea-sized demonic gods turn white in Gu Chencha's Maha Hell Suppression scripture and the soybean-sized black lotus turn white, he knew that Gu Chernshao had grasped the essence. Skeleton Ash Demon Emperor was shocked. "Let's go. I have passed you the true Maha Hell suppression scripture. That means that we have completed our agreement. Now, it depends on your sincerity to wipe out the tribe that is going against me. To catch bandits, first catch the leader. Now we can work together to kill the leader of that tribe. Gu Chensha asked, which tribe is it? It is the Skeleton Demon Emperor that is with me. Skeleton Ash Demon Emperor pointed at the giant fortress in the distance. Out of the three of us, I am the leader. The rest are Skeleton Ding and Skeleton C. You killed and refined Skeleton C, but Skeleton Ding is still in the fortress. He also leads many tribes. We are all under the command of the Skull Black Demon Emperor, but the three of us are always fighting each other openly and secretly, trying to find an opportunity to swallow each other up. This time, you have given me a great opportunity. So that is the case, Gu Chensha said. Then, let's not waste time. Let's head up and kill Skeleton Ding. How about we split its essence energy? Chapter 330. Skull Ash Demon Emperor's cultivation was at Tao Realm Transformation 22, Astronomical Phenomenon. Skull Demon Emperor's cultivation was at Tao Realm Transformation 21, 5-element body transformation. One more realm made a huge difference. Logically speaking, Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't need Gu Chensha's help to suppress Skull Demon Emperor. However, although the Skeleton Demon Emperor was one realm lower than Skeleton Ash, he had 72 divine General Maha puppets, which were refined from the corpses of ancient immortals that had fallen in the Devil domain. They were extremely powerful, and each divine General Maha corresponded to an earth fiend esoteric meaning. The 72 divine General Maha were 72 earth fiends, and when combined, they formed a great formation that was even more powerful than the formation itself. Gu Chensha knew about the strength of puppets. When a cultivator couldn't raise his realm, the best way was to refine puppets. His common people's god general was the same. If he had 360 common people's god generals by his side, he would be confident in fighting Skull Ash Demon Emperor. The ancient immortals had perished in the infernal domain, and their corpses were obtained by demons. Using them as the foundation, they refined Divine General Maha into an extremely powerful Divine General Maha. It was no wonder that even the Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't dare to rashly suppress it. This was news that Gu Chensha had just gotten from Skull Ash Demon Emperor. He planned before he acted, so naturally, he had to consider the details. Now, you and I will suppress him. Since you can even refine Skull Demon Emperor, then your combat strength can compare to Tao Realm Transformation 21, 5-element body transformation. You might even be stronger than him. Skull Ash Demon Emperor said, you deal with his main body. I will use my techniques to collect his 72 God General Ma. That will work. Of course, Gu Chensha wouldn't believe Skull Ash Demon Emperor. Of course, he wouldn't explode either. He also wanted to test out his own techniques. So, the two of them flew into the dark iron fortress. On the other hand, Gu Chensha was wrapped in the Skeleton Ash Devil Emperor's demonic cloud. Scolding. The Skull Ash Devil Emperor descended and landed beside an altar. The altar was also made of underworld iron and underworld jade, and there were many runes carved on it. On top of that sat a demon. He was also a young man with a sinister look on his face. Around him, 72 other young men who looked exactly like him could be seen sitting in the same position as the Earth Fiends. Skeleton Ash, what's wrong? You caught him? Ding Kuei opened his eyes when he saw the ball of Devil Chi. This man is the 19th Prince of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. To think that he could even refine a skeleton. What secrets does he have exactly? We're going to offer him to Demon Emperor Skeleton Black. Ku Ding, there are a few Demon Emperors under Demon Emperor Ku Xian's command, and they have always been at odds with us. Skeleton Ash spoke in a sinister voice. For example, Skeleton Flame, Skeleton End, and Skeleton Heart. If we refine this kid, not only will you be able to reach the same realm as me, you might even be able to evolve the 72 Maha Generals into 36 Heavenly Dipper Generals. This way, the 36 Heavenly Dipper Generals and 72 Earthly Fiends will be able to fuse together and form the Maha Prison Suppression Array. Why don't you refine it yourself and want to cooperate with me? Skeleton Ding asked. If I could refine it myself, then I wouldn't have found you. Skeleton Ash said, think about it. This kid is able to use his Tao Realm 16 transformation cultivation to refine a Tao Realm 20 transformation skeleton. What kind of ability is that? His body contains supreme power. Maybe I can only use your 72 Maha Generals to wipe him out. That's true. This kid is really terrifying. Logically speaking, the difference between 16 and 20 transformations is huge, and Skeleton Ash should have been able to wipe him out right away. But he actually refined it instead. Kuding said, then, let's work together to refine this kid and split his essence energy and that weird power in his body. That's right. Skeleton Ash activated the demonic luck and wrapped Gu Churnsha within. Gu Churnsha clashed within, but he couldn't get out at all. So amazing, if you hadn't cultivated the astronomical phenomenon, you probably wouldn't have been able to trap him. Kuding was filled with fear and excitement. Since that is the case, then let's refine it. Okay. Skeleton Ash returned to the other altar and activated the demonic flames. Like a fire dragon, it flew towards Gu Churnsha. At that moment, Kuding's body moved. The 72 Maha Generals behind him moved and chanted the Maha Curse. They buffed the demonic flames, and instantly, they became several times stronger. This is the moment. Gu Churnsha was shocked. Not only did the demonic flames not burn him, but they were also a huge supplement. He pushed with his hands and turned into a streak of light that struck towards Kuding on the altar. At the same time, Skeleton Ash suddenly made a move. A divine light appeared behind him. This divine light flowed with vibrant colors and split into 72 rays. They landed on the heads of the 72 Mahakasyapa and condensed into halos. The 72 divine generals Maha immediately froze. Skeleton Ash, you actually schemed against me. You have been eyeing my 72 Maha generals covetously for a long time. So, you cultivated this great ascension treasure retrieving devil light just for this moment? Kuding was shocked. He suddenly dispersed his dermic power, wanting to urge the 72 Maha generals to escape. But at that moment Gu Churnsha charged over. He threw a punch as soon as he attacked. The punch was slow like a turtle, but it had the power to swallow the world, contain the universe, save the common people, and exterminate all devils. Gu Churnsha's physical body, stellar energy, and Yuan Shun merged together and circulated within his body. Strong power gathered at one point and exploded with strong combat power. If it was an expert of the same realm, a physical battle would be useless at this time because the physical body was too weak. But Gu Churnsha was different. His Sun-Moon Dragon physique was the strongest in the world. More importantly, Wu Dengkong had activated the great sacrifice of the heavenly abode and borrowed the power of the heavenly Tao to forcefully fuse the power of time and space with his physical body, causing his meridians, flesh, and acupoints to all be fused with the power of time and space. He had also devoured the skeleton demon emperor of the 20 transformations and fused a huge amount of magic power into his body. Apart from that, when Gu Churnsha had formed a blood bond with the heavenly demon tree, he had used the mysteries of the tree to comprehend the primordial chaos sacred body. In this way, Gu Churnsha's body was almost an indestructible magic treasure. He had also comprehended his own combat technique. His physical body would work with stellar energy and Yuan Shun to attack at close range. This fist was the combination of the common people heaven mending technique and the common people heaven reforming technique. He suddenly attacked. His Xiantian stellar energy wrapped around his body and his Yuan Shun sat in his consciousness. With extreme speed, he arrived beside Skeleton Ding. If he released his Sciention stellar energy now, it could cover hundreds of miles, even thousands of miles, forming a huge energy shield. One could see how strong the Sciention stellar energy was, but he did not release it now. Instead, he tried his best to compress it and spin it 3 inches around his body. This created an extremely strong force that propelled his physical body to fly at high speed. If such a huge amount of stellar energy was compressed into a thin 3 inches, how fast would his speed be? This was the combat technique that Gu Chernsha had figured out. It used the physical body to attack and stellar energy to support it. Normal cultivators use stellar energy to attack at this realm. For example, Gu Chernsha used stellar energy to form the Xuanwu, demon god, star sovereign, or nebula to attack. But this way, he had many methods. The weakness was that it was not strong enough and could not kill in one blow. Gu Chernsha thought about many techniques and came up with a combat technique based on the state of his body. Pung! That fist ripped apart layers of seals. Numerous defensive formations were ripped apart and no one was able to block it at all. Gu Chernsha had already arrived in front of Skeleton Ding, and his fist landed on his body. The strong fist power exploded and instantly turned Skeleton Ding into 5 streaks of stellar energy. There was a ball of flame, a ball of green energy, a ball of water energy, a ball of metal energy, and a ball of earth energy. This was the 5-element spiritual energy. This was the strength of the Tao Realm 21 transformation and the 5-element transformation. Gu Chernsha's sure-kill punch could only scatter the stellar energy and turn it into the 5 elements. As long as there was a slight delay, the 5 elements would form once more and Skeleton Ding would recover. He wouldn't be injured at all. Heaven and earth change, sun and moon seal. Gu Chernsha's hands continuously changed dermic formulations, immediately setting up layers of seals on the 5 blobs of essence chi. But the 5 balls of stellar energy swelled up and were about to explode the seals. With Gu Chernsha's cultivation, he wasn't able to seal Skeleton Ding at all. But shortly after, he sucked in and swallowed the 5 balls of stellar energy into his dantian while they were breaking the seals. In the depths of his dantian was a grotto heaven the size of a house. It was formed by the Heaven Path Grotto Heaven ritual. He was sucking Skeleton Ding into the grotto heaven. That grotto heaven was much stronger than normal space treasures. Other space treasures, even Dragon Gate, didn't have their own space power but was created by a God Realm expert. So when others got it, they could only use it to store items. The grotto heaven produced by the Rite of the Heavenly Way was the fusion of the power of time and space with the primordial spirit and physical body of the person offering the sacrifice, allowing the person to use the power of the grotto heaven. It was not a simple storage space. This was why the grotto heaven ritual was so amazing. The heaven talisman ritual allowed Gu Tianzi to suppress many demon gods. It allowed him to have all sorts of unbelievable powers. Gu Chernsha's own Empyrean energy and nascent divinity couldn't suppress Skeleton Ding at all. He had taken the opportunity to trap Skeleton Ding in the depths of his Dantian's sea of energy. Skeleton Ding wouldn't be able to escape at all unless he reached the 27th transformation of the Tao Realm, which would allow him to tear open space and escape. If it was a space treasure, then after Gu Chernsha kept Skeleton Ding in, Skeleton Ding could use its own powers to find the flaws in Gu Chernsha's primordial spirit and the treasure. Then, it could refine the treasure and steal it. But this space wasn't a treasure but a part of Gu Chernsha's body. One could say that it was Gu Chernsha himself and Skeleton Ding couldn't steal it at all. Chapter 331. The Skull Ash Demon Emperor didn't expect Gu Chernsha to be so strong. He sealed the Skull Ash Demon Emperor right away, and he himself wasn't even able to collect the 72 Maha-God generals. Thus, evil thoughts rose up in him. He wanted to attack Gu Chernsha first and then capture him as well. He was an expert at the Tao Realm 22 transformation technique phenomenon of heaven and earth. When he attacked, his palm was extremely quick. The demonic palm covered the sky and ripped apart the heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Gu Chernsha and was about to hit him. At that moment, Gu Chernsha gave a weird smile. Pola! A sword light appeared behind the Skull Ash Demon Emperor's back. This sword light was formed by the 5 of them merging into one. It was as thin as a thread and it attacked from thousands of miles away. One strike could kill everything in the world and control the order of heaven and earth. 5 seasons merging into one. God bloodline. God laws. Spring, summer, summer, autumn, winter, ancient laws. Spring rain, summer lightning, summer sun, autumn frost, winter snow. These were the 5 of them. Lu Yu and the other 4 cultivated bitterly and activated the bloodline of the gods of 5 seasons in their bodies. They also refined the 5 seasons divine sword into their primordial spirits with the help of the life's wish sphere. Now they were at the 15th transformation of the Tao realm, the heavenly eye-suspending sky. But with this level of cultivation, each of them could kill a golden core great Tao expert. If the 5 of them merged into one, who knew how terrifying their killing strength would be? The 5 Seasons God Sword was a merger of the 5 Seasons laws, and it wasn't metal. After merging it into the soul, one could use the soul to control the sword and slash through spiritual power. The 5 of them entered the demon region and found a chance to strike the Skull Ash Demon Emperor. The 5 merged sword lights pierced through the Skull Ash Demon Emperor's body. It gave out a shocking rage and screamed in pain like it was badly injured. A good chance. Gu Chernsha waved his hands, and many starlight beams appeared behind him, sweeping above his head. So. The 72 divine General Maha puppets fell into the starlight. Let's go. Let's leave this place. Gu Chernsha laughed heartily. Skeleton Grey Demon Emperor, thank you for your help. You allowed me to subdue the Skeleton Ding Demon Emperor once again, along with his 72 puppets, Divine General Ma. While they were talking, Gu Chernsha was wrapped in a nebula that was a few acres in size and quickly left with Lu Yu and the other 4. He knew how powerful the Skull Ash Demon Emperor was. Even if he joined forces with Lu Yu and the others, it would still be difficult to kill it. Moreover, although he had temporarily suppressed the Skull Ash Demon Emperor in his body, he had not refined it yet. If he were to relax a little, the Skull Ash Demon Emperor would stir up trouble. Skeleton Demon Emperor's cultivation was at the 21st transformation of the Tao realm and his body turned into the 5 element. It was basically impossible for Gu Chernsha to kill and refine him with his own cultivation. He wanted to return to the touch of Ghost God and borrow the power of this tree to slowly absorb the Skeleton Demon Emperor and his 72 God Generals Ma. Damn it! The Skull Ash Devil Emperor's injuries had yet to recover, so he didn't dare to give chase. He heard it from afar. Skeleton Ash Devil Emperor, our cooperation is still effective. You can come and join me. This was Gu Chernsha's temptation again. After a short while, Gu Chernsha had already rushed out of the demon area and arrived at the grassland of the bottomless sea of sin. He saw his touch of Ghost God tree. Now the tree was getting bigger and bigger. It occupied a radius of close to 100 miles. With it as the center, the surrounding demonic herbs had all withered as their vitality had been absorbed by the tree. Zhuge Ye's incarnation was presiding over the cultivation in the tree. It was absolutely safe. It kept absorbing the essence of heaven and earth, the power of the stars, the spiritual energy, the celestial energy, and all kinds of energy from many dimensions. If nothing went wrong, the tree would be able to cover the entire 3,000 miles of the bottomless sea of sin in another year and a half. By then, the demon area would instead be the energy source of the tree. However, by then, the tyrannical experts in the demon area, including demon overlords, would also appear. It would probably be a more difficult battle. Gu Chensha landed on the tree. Lu Yu and the others retracted their light and saw Zhuge Ye still presiding over the cultivation in the nest in the middle of the tree. "Mister, help me!" When Gu Chensha arrived in front of Zhuge Ye's incarnation, he immediately sat down. His body emitted demonic energy, and the 72 Maha puppets were also ready to make a move. Absorb. Zhuge Ye's incarnation was immediately activated. Suddenly, many tentacles of the touch of Ghost God appeared and wrapped the 72 Maha Divine Generals, constantly absorbing their essence, chi, and spirit. These 72 Maha Generals were extremely powerful, and they shouldn't have been so weak. However, they were suppressed by the Skull Ash Devil Emperor's great Ascension treasure retrieving Devil Light, and their master was sealed by the ancient Dust Sand. Furthermore, Lu Yu and the other 4 had joined forces to suppress them, so they didn't cause much trouble. The 5 of you, inject your sword chi and destroy the 72 Maha Divine Generals. Kill them and let the touch of Ghost God absorb their nutrients. Zhuge Ye's magic power incarnation immediately gave the order. Yes. Lu Yu and the others immediately released their sword chi and started killing. Bang! A Maha Divine General was killed. In an instant, the nutrients were absorbed, and the touch of Ghost God became even more powerful. Following that, Maha Divine Generals were killed one after another. As the nutrients were absorbed, the 28 demons and monsters in the crown of the tree began to evolve, forming the embryonic form of the 28-star monarch. Massive energy descended, and the tree evolved once again. The vines turned into the color of stars. They were no longer made of wood, but something similar to star jade. The entire tree looked like it was dotted with stars, like the galaxy tree. Within this tree, it was like being in the depths of the Star River. One could sense the endless profundities of the vast universe. Even Gu Chensha, who was the creator of this tree, could feel the wonders of creation. This tree was simply exquisite and had boundless power. It was indeed worthy of being a supreme cultivation technique created by many ancient demon race sages after comprehending the primordial chaos tree. What did the real primordial chaos tree look like? Gu Chensha was very curious and wanted to see it with his own eyes. However, according to the ancient records, the primordial chaos tree was in the depths of spacetime. Furthermore, it had already surpassed spacetime. Not only was it in a different dimension from all living beings, but it was also in a different dimension in terms of time. Without great fortuitous encounters, it was impossible to find it. These 72 Maha Divine Generals contain the remains of immortals who died in the demon realm. Adding them together, they form the number of earthly fiends, and their strength is roughly between the 21st and 22nd transformation. Now that they've been absorbed by the touch of Ghost God, the tree's evolution time has been reduced by at least 60 years. As Zhuge Ye's incarnation spoke, he formed seals with both hands. Immediately, many of the tentacles on the touch of Ghost God pierced into the various acupoints of Gu Chensha's body. Very good. Borrowing the power of the touch of Ghost God, Gu Chensha channeled the power of spacetime in his body. The space in the depths of his dantian was like a huge millstone that began to spin and grind, trying to refine the skeleton demon emperor. Kid, it's still too early for you to refine me. However, I didn't expect that your body would contain space. Furthermore, your bloodline and nascent divinity are actually fused with the power of spacetime? This is something that even gods can't do. The physical body and nascent divinity of ordinary people can't withstand the power of spacetime. Forcefully fusing them would only result in death. Yet, you've actually managed to fuse them. Could it be that you've obtained the legendary heavenly talisman? No wonder our God sent a prophecy saying that the heavenly talisman has appeared. So, it's in your hands. In the spacetime the size of a room in Gu Chensha's dantian, the skeleton demon emperor gathered his body once again in Gu Chensha's dantian. He wasn't injured at all. He unleashed demonic flames in a frenzy to attack the space, trying to break out of the seal. With Gu Chencha's current cultivation, he could at most restrain the demon. It was impossible for him to refine it. However, if he continued to restrain it, the demon would wreak havoc in his Dantian's Dantian, making it impossible for him to circulate his stellar energy. It would also lower his strength and prevent him from breaking through to the next realm. The Dantian's Dantian and consciousness were the two most important parts of a person. If the Dantian was not smooth, the blood and spirit would be damaged, and the consciousness would not be able to be replenished. One had to know that the essence of a person's consciousness and nascent divinity were the replenishment of the physical body. Without a physical body, the nascent divinity would gradually wither. Therefore, Gu Chensha couldn't seal the demon in the depths of his Dantian for a long period of time. Otherwise, the demon would devour the connate stellar energy in his Dantian to strengthen itself and become a parasite. But things were different now. With the ghost god's touch and the power of Zhuge Ye's dermic incarnation, Gu Chensha was confident he could quickly refine the demon. The ghost god's touch had devoured countless monsters' souls. In addition to the 72 divine generals Maha, the 28 demons, monsters had evolved to possess some of the characteristics of the 28 demon gods and star sovereigns. The power of the 28 puppets was many times stronger than before. Aside from that, the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge Ye, was the true king of stars. With him around, the 28 demon gods and star sovereigns could grow even faster. Your Highness, use the Book of Life mending the heavens and the Book of Life reforming. Use your nascent divinity and stellar energy to refine the demon's magic. I'll help you. With the demon's power, you'll definitely be able to increase your cultivation. You'll reach the peak of the 17th transformation, the Tao-splitting division, and even the golden core of the 18th transformation, said Zhuge Ye. I'll use my own will to refine the demon. Mr. Zhuge, you don't need to interfere. Fighting with the demon's will is also a pleasure. Gu Chensha laughed. Even if it takes a bit more time, I can completely refine my own will. That's fine. Your Highness has such ambitions, and I'm happy to oblige. But time waits for no one. The second prince has already become the crown prince and returned to the court. The monsters are also building the nethermetal fortress and preparing to break through the seal and descend upon the land of infinity. Apart from that, the demon race, the barbarian race, and the immortal Tao sect are also planning something. The Great Might dynasty is gathering overseas, and your Highness can't waste too much time here. Zhuge Ye's profound wisdom saw through everything. It is precisely because of such a harsh situation that my potential can be stimulated. If I didn't temper myself like this, how could I suppress this place? Gu Chensha knew that the biggest role he could play was to suppress this place, kill the demons, and maintain the peace of the world. The reason for the world's instability was the demon region, followed by the demon race and the barbarian race. Then, the immortal Tao sect, the imperial court, and the Great Might dynasty. There were countless demon experts in the demon region, and they were all extremely cruel. Once they descended upon the divine land, they would immediately kill and eat people, causing a bloodbath. Humans were even in danger of being wiped out. The barbarian race was the same, but the monsters were even more bloodthirsty than the barbarian race. The barbarian race was just a race created by the evil god to imitate the monsters. The demon race was more bloodthirsty, cruel, strong, and aggressive than the barbarian race. In history, many powerful dynasties collapsed because of the demon disaster. Even the ancient emperor couldn't do anything to the monsters. He had no choice but to use the emperor's energy to confer the strongest demons as the evil god and reach a compromise. Chapter 332. Heaven and Earth Change. Common people mend the heavens. The heavens are in the hands of man. Man can defeat the heavens. Gu Chensha used the power of the touch of the ghost god to absorb the sealed skeleton demon emperor. His body was the main and the treasure was the support. The touch of the ghost god tree was refined by him, and its growth was closely linked to him. One could say that it was a part of his body. Using this tree, he understood many theories and even comprehended some mysteries of the primordial chaos saint body. Now, he was one with the tree once more to refine the skeleton demon emperor. If he succeeded, his comprehension and spiritual will would rise to a whole new level. His Xiantian astral energy circulated within his body. One of them transformed into the heaven-mending astral energy, while the other transformed into the heaven-reforming astral energy. Under the control of his Yuan spirit, the two astral energies bombarded the skeletal demon emperor in the air. The skeleton demon emperor gave out a weird laugh and started to swallow Gu Chensha's soul and energy to strengthen himself. You actually dare to refine me, what a dumb thing. The skeleton demon emperor's will was really evil. You will never know the difference between spiritual power and spiritual energy. He changed continuously in Gu Chensha's energy ocean space. He turned into a ball of flame, a ball of water, and then metal, wood, and earth. The five elements shook one another at an extremely quick speed. Not only was Gu Chensha unable to refine him, but he was also able to steal a lot of his essence energy. Damn, he is really strong. The difference in one realm is actually so huge. Gu Chensha had refined the skeleton demon emperor, who was at the 20th transformation of Tao realm. The skeleton demon emperor had also cultivated spiritual power and was at the gather and scatter impermanence realm, but he was still able to refine him. Now that the skeleton demon emperor was at the 21st transformation and had turned into the five elements, there was nothing Gu Chensha could do about it. The difference was just one realm. King, although it is just one transformation, in truth there are 5 stages. This demon emperor has cultivated all 5 and is at the peak of the 21 transformations. He is much stronger than the experts who stepped into the 21 transformations, so we can't let our guard down. Zhuge Ye sent out a mental fluctuation. I know. The more you do it, the more challenging it will be, Gu Chensha said excitedly. Mr. Zhuge, just watch me. As he spoke, Gu Chensha once again activated the gourd hanging in the middle of the tree. In the depths of the gourd was the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. You want to fuse your nascent divinity with the greatest weapon of slaughter in the world, the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger? Zhuge Ye immediately understood what he was going to do. Although this flying dagger was refined by you, if it fuses with the primordial spirit, it will cause irrecoverable damage to the primordial spirit. It's okay. There can be no construction without destruction. Gu Chensha laughed out loud. I used this item once not long ago, and now it has been condensed again. At that time, it was condensed by the 7-colored demonic vine. Now it is the touch of the ghostly god. The power of this dagger is more than 10 times stronger. As he laughed, a flying dagger flew out of the gourd. This flying dagger had eyes and wings. It was like a living creature. The moment it rushed out of the gourd, Zhuge Ye could feel the power that could kill all gods and immortals and slay the world. This is just a fake that grew from the heavenly demon tree, and it already has such power. If it is a real flying dagger, what will it look like? No wonder even the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture was dismembered by this flying dagger. Zhuge Ye was shocked. The real immortal-slaying, god-slaying flying dagger was condensed from the primordial chaos tree. At first, it was in the hands of the primordial golden crow race's Yao Sage. However, even Yao Sage could not activate this dagger. Later, the golden crow race's Yao Sage was schemed against by the 3 heavenly venerables, and the gourd was stolen. The 3 heavenly venerables had only used it once against the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture, Xing Qiongshi. They had dismembered him, but because of that, the three heavenly venerables had lost a lot of their vitality. In short, this was the most ferocious weapon. Whoosh! The flying dagger flew out of the gourd and circled 3 times above Gu Chench's head. Suddenly, it shot into his ancestral aperture and entered the depths of his sea of consciousness, fusing with his primordial spirit. At the instant the flying dagger fused with his primordial spirit, Gu Chernxia felt as if he had lost himself in an endless killing intent. He was about to go crazy, to kill everything, to destroy everything. He was an existence born for the sake of killing. He wanted to kill everything, and all things would perish. However, he used his boundless willpower to protect the last bit of clarity in his primordial spirit consciousness. He fiercely attacked his primordial spirit into the depths of his Dantian's sea of qi. And at this moment the skeletal demon emperor, who was imprisoned in the depths of his Dantian's sea of qi, felt the endless killing intent assaulting him. He was shocked and fiercely attacked. Bang! The skeletal demon emperor and Gu Chench's primordial spirit collided. With just a slight sound, the skeletal demon emperor's entire body was slashed apart. He could no longer condense as he let out miserable cries. Primordial spirit, physical body, primordial sacred body, refine the flying dagger. Gu Chench's willpower did not have any emotions at all. It was as if he himself was the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. His primordial spirit and astral energy fused, and with the force of the collision of the skeletal demon emperor, he began to refine it. Skeletal demon emperor, I have to thank you. If you did not resist the killing intent of this flying dagger, how could I use my primordial spirit to absorb this flying dagger? At the same time, you were also severely injured. You can die now. Gu Chench's entire body squirmed as his astral energy and primordial spirit interacted. Impressive. Zhuge Ye nodded inwardly. Your Highness actually took the risk to fuse your primordial spirit with this flying dagger. It can be said that you are using someone else to do your dirty work. This time, the skeletal demon emperor will probably not be able to escape. Indeed, the skeletal demon emperor's entire body was in a mess. He had been injured extremely deeply by the flying dagger. Although he did not die, his dermic powers were beginning to scatter. He no longer had the strength to absorb Gu Chench's essence qi. As Gu Chench's body squirmed, he gained a deeper understanding of the primordial sacred body. He actually slowly refined the immortal slaying god slaying flying dagger. An extremely sharp willpower appeared in his primordial spirit. This flying dagger was just saber qi. After a long time, the gourd would condense another flying dagger. Gu Chernxia could devour this saber qi again and again to temper his primordial spirit. There was no longer any suspense. After Gu Chernxia refined the flying dagger, he slowly used his primordial spirit as a saber to whittle away the skeletal demon emperor's dermic powers. After a full 3 months, the skeletal demon emperor had already been mostly refined and was weak. Meanwhile, Gu Chench's primordial spirit was full and began to split into 3. The 3 primordial spirits were exactly the same as him. His accumulation could be said to be vigorous. First, he obtained the Grotto Heaven ritual and fused the power of time and space into his body. Then, he devoured the skeletal demon emperor. Now, he refined the skeletal demon emperor. Of these 2 demon emperors, one was an expert at 20 transformations, while the other was even stronger. It was an overlord of the 5 elements at 21 transformations. The dermic powers of these 2 great demon emperors were nourishing to Gu Chernxia and the touch of the ghostly god tree. Gu Chernxia channeled most of his dermic powers into the tree, allowing it to grow. Meanwhile, he absorbed the essence and gathered a huge amount of essence qi. Finally, he broke through to the 17th transformation. At this point, it was already the 20th year of the heavenly talisman. Gu Chernxia had risen in the 14th year of the heavenly talisman. 6 years had passed since then. Skeletal Demon Emperor, you have nothing to struggle for now. Merge into the heavenly demon tree for the last time. Gu Chencha's 3 primordial spirits moved and immediately formed the strongest strangulation force, killing the skeletal demon emperor without any suspense. At the same time, he absorbed his memories. Immediately, many demonic cultivation methods flowed into his sea of consciousness. The 3 primordial spirits returned to the depths of his sea of consciousness. The innate Gang Qi in his sea of Qi was also extremely full. Gu Chencha's current cultivation had reached a terrifying level. In these 3 months, Your Highness has benefited a lot. Zhuge Ye saw Gu Chencha's great success. Just 1 step away from the 18 transformations Great Tao Golden Core. At that time, Your Highness's life form will change. Once the Golden Core is formed, your lifespan will increase by 1,000 years. With Your Highness's current talent, it will be a piece of cake for you to break through this stage. Mr. Zhuge's main body grows even faster. Gu Chencha was satisfied. I was just opportunistic. If Your Highness's cultivation was opportunistic, there would be no cultivators in the world. Zhuge Ye knew that Gu Chencha had actually merged his primordial spirit with the immortal slaying god slaying flying knife. This was an act of suicide. He actually succeeded. This training of willpower was no less than walking through many hells. Such cultivation was firm and not opportunistic. Instead, it was done with a heart of seeking the Tao without any regret. It was natural for him to have his current achievement. Tao Realm's 17 transformations, the peak of Tao splitting soul separating, this was Gu Chencha's current realm. With his combat strength, he could directly challenge the skeletal demon emperor. As for the touch of God and ghost, this tree had completely turned into a star tree. It seemed to contain all the stars in the sky within. In the past 3 months, Zhuge Ye's Dharma Power Incarnation and Lu Yu and the other 4 people had been cultivating non-stop, causing many mysteries to appear on the tree. Every leaf was a talisman that contained an extremely strong power. If an ordinary person were to obtain a single leaf of the tree, they would be able to unleash a tremendous power. The core of the tree, the embryonic form of the 28 constellations monster god Star-Lord, had started to show its power. Day and night, it forcefully opened up the power of the stars, absorbed energy, and disintegrated it. However, Gu Chencha didn't waste energy to create pills, armor, weapons, and treasures. Instead, he focused on evolving the tree. But now, the tree's evolution had slowed down. Even if it absorbed a large portion of the skeletal demon emperor's power, it was useless. The blood-sucking demon vine evolved into the 7-colored demon vine, the 7-colored demon vine evolved into the touch of God and ghost, and finally into the heavenly demon tree. The last evolution was thousands of times harder and longer than the previous ones. Now, the heavenly demon tree's strength was equivalent to a 20 transformations expert. However, it couldn't move. Of course, this tree was far from the common people's wish ball. Gu Chencha had also refined his Maha Black Sun into the tree, allowing the tree to receive a lot of nourishment. Right now, this tree is lacking demonic souls. Since that's the case, I'll capture demonic souls in the lower devil region. If I can capture the Skull Ash Devil Emperor, this tree's evolution time will be reduced by another few decades, said Gu Chencha. Chapter 333. Go back to the court? To deal with second brother Gu Xianxia? Gu Chencha didn't want to get caught up in the court's battle. To him, there was no point in fighting and it was better to kill monsters here. One was to get rid of the hidden dangers of the world and the other was to raise his own strength. As long as he was strong enough, he could stabilize the situation in the court. For example, Heaven Talisman Emperor had dominated the world for many years. Now that he was in secluded meditation, many saint-level experts didn't dare to act arrogantly. Gu Chencha had tasted the sweetness. After guarding the demon region for so long, He actually rose from 14 to 17 and even cultivated a treasure like the ghost god touch. How would he still have the mood to work in the court? Gu Chensha wanted to cultivate the golden core of the Great Path in one go, and he also wanted to cultivate the 20 transformations. At that time, his combat strength would probably be at its strongest. The benefit of cultivating the 18 transformations was that one could live for 1,000 years. This was something that all cultivators dreamed of. Normal experts would turn to dust in 100 years. In 1,000 years, one could experience the change of 3 dynasties. In history, most dynasties changed once every 300 years. But what Gu Chensha lacked now wasn't lifespan but combat strength. He had to improve further and reach the 20 transformations. He had to merge his body, energy, and soul into one and turn them into spiritual power. He had refined Ku Si and Ku Ding, so he was deeply aware of how mystical magic power was. If he could cultivate his magic power, he would be able to execute many techniques. For example, sun-moon annihilation, which could almost activate the supreme mysteries of heaven and earth, drawing in the tides of the sun and moon, and even killing the undying demon emperors. Unfortunately, Gu Chensha was 3 levels away from the 20 transformations. These 3 realms were each more difficult than the last. For Gu Chensha to advance to the golden core of the Great Path was even harder than going from 9 to 17 transformations. 18 transformations was a huge realm where one's energy and soul turned into a golden core. Many experts couldn't pass this. Their souls and energy failed to form a core and they exploded to death. When the nascent divinity astral energy formed a core, it would release a huge amount of energy in an instant. That energy would go berserk, and it would be very difficult to control. If one couldn't control it, the nascent divinity would explode, and there would be no chance of survival. Fortunately, Gu Chensha's own talent was already close to that of a born saint, and he was almost guaranteed to succeed in cultivating the Jindan of the Great Path. Your Highness still has to go. If you show your face, you might get another opportunity. At this moment, fighting in the demon domain won't bring you much benefit. That skeleton Ash is on guard. In addition, other demon experts will also appear there. Maybe they are planning to deal with Your Highness. Zhuge analyzed. Your Highness's best option now is to go back and deal with the second prince. I have a plan to get a lot of opportunities from the second prince. Behind the second prince are the 3 celestial venerables. He wants to seize power from Wu Dangkong. And Wu Dangkong had the heaven sacrificial talisman with him. There are many things that we can use in this. That second brother of mine is very ambitious, and his cultivation is also very high. He is not inferior to the skeleton demon emperor, Gu Chensha said. He will not be willing to be controlled by the 3 celestial venerables. He will definitely want to break free from their control. There are many things that we can use in this, and second brother might be thinking the same. Your Highness understood immediately. This touch of Ghost God is being guarded by my dermic power incarnation, and Lu Yu and the other 4 are assisting. It is absolutely safe. Your Highness, go ahead. Zhuge said, I have one more thing to tell you, Your Highness. It is best to make a deal with the second prince and obtain a talisman from him. That talisman is called the Banishing Immortal Talisman. Legend has it that the 3 celestial venerables can demote immortals and banish them to the mortal world. Immortals were a very general concept. According to the ancient records, in the primordial era, any cultivator who cultivated to the 18 transformations and Jindan of the Great Path could be called an immortal. Even now, when the disciples of the 72 mystical sects of the Immortal Path cultivated to the Jindan, they would hold a banquet and invite the experts of many sects to eat and drink to promote their talents. In the primordial era, the 3 celestial venerables were the existences that led the group of immortals. The Banishing Immortal Talisman was rumored to be used by the 3 celestial venerables to punish immortals. As long as one talisman was used, the immortal would be crippled and become an ordinary person. For example, if Gu Qinsha encountered this talisman and was hit by it, his primordial spirit would immediately dissipate, and his gang qi would also dissipate between heaven and earth. At the same time, his cultivation level would also be reduced, and he would be like 6 years ago, when he had not received the heaven sacrificial decree. Legend had it that in the primordial era, the 3 celestial venerables commanded the immortal path. Sometimes, if the immortals below did not listen to their orders, they would be banished to the mortal world. This kind of humiliation was even more unbearable than being killed. Think about it, one had to go through a lot of hardships to cultivate to become an immortal. In the end, one would be beaten into an ordinary person. That was really more unbearable than death. I'm afraid second brother will not exchange something like the banishing immortal talisman with me. Gu Qinsha pondered for a moment. This talisman is probably his trump card. What I meant was that it would be best for Prince to obtain the profound meaning of this talisman. In fact, this talisman was comprehended by the 3 celestial venerables from the immortal slaying god Flying Saber. This time, the 3 celestial venerables secretly nurtured the second prince for the primordial tree's fruit. His Majesty plucked the fruit from the primordial tree, and whoever swallowed it would obtain the primordial sacred body. Zhuge Ye said, in the primordial era, many human sages joined forces and suffered heavy injuries. Only by chance did they obtain an unripe fruit and refine it into many pills. The 3 celestial venerables' individual strength surpassed that of the sages, but the 3 of them schemed against each other and were not united. It was also impossible to obtain a truly ripe primordial tree's fruit. The fruit that father plucked was completely ripe? Gu Qinsha asked. Of course. The primordial tree is the creator of many worlds, and the creator of many dimensions. Its will is far beyond that of any living creature. It is one of the most powerful existences in the primordial chaos, even more so than the will of heaven and earth. Zhuge Ye said, of course, the will of the world is very mysterious. It is the manifestation of the general principles of the Great Path. We don't know what form it takes or what kind of existence it is. Perhaps only the Emperor knows. So you're saying that the 3 celestial venerables are no match for father? Gu Qinsha calculated. Of course. If the 3 celestial venerables could do anything to His Majesty, they wouldn't be cowards. Zhuge Ye's eyes shone with wisdom. Don't worry, Your Majesty. As my cultivation base improves, I can understand many ancient secrets. I can even obtain the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Stars. The previous Lord of 7 Stars was called Jiang Gongwang. He had assisted Gu Tianzi in killing the Divine Continent's most vicious Xingqiong clan, and had dealings with the 3 celestial venerables. Later, Jiang Gongwang perished. Supposedly, the 3 celestial venerables were involved. However, the first Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, had left behind a few tricks. As Zhuge Ye's cultivation base increased, he had also grasped a few secrets. 3 months ago, in Gu Qinsha's fief, he had reached the Tao realm 20 transformations. Gathering and dispersing were impermanent, and he had mastered magic power. Over the past 3 months, with the help of the life's will sphere, he had been able to circulate the 5 elements and break through to the 21st transformation. As his cultivation base grew more profound, he became omniscient and omniscient. With his help, the affairs of the calming immortal department became much more organized, and it gradually grew into a leviathan. If Mr. Zhuge can obtain the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Star, we might be able to expel the will of the North Star Empire, or at least refine it. That way, we'll be able to truly refine the common people's wish sphere. Gu Qinsha was filled with anticipation. More or less. Although the North Star will is powerful, it's only a sliver of its will left. It doesn't even have a soul fragment, and its strength is less than 1/10,000th of what it used to be, said Zhuge Ye. Your Highness, you should go. Didn't you use Bao Ming'er to obtain 3 dragon creation pills from Gu Tanjian last time? I already understand what Sir Zhuge is trying to say. Fighting and killing in the demon realm is a form of cultivation, and fighting openly and covertly in the court is also a form of cultivation. The life heaven-mending art that I cultivate comes from the common people of the world, and the fate of the common people is mostly decided by the court. Therefore, the power struggles in the court are also greatly beneficial to the life heaven-mending art. Gu Chensha stretched his body. There's a saying that has been passed down since ancient times. Cultivation in the government is the best. If you want to benefit the common people, it's best to do it in the court. A good political opinion can save millions of lives. Not to mention the Son of Heaven, who controls the universe, the whirlpool of fortune, and has a golden mouth. Zhuge Ye said with wisdom that could see through everything, the situation in the court is already set. The Celestial Calmness Bureau, the Celestial Designer Department, the Crown Prince, Concubine Ming, Wu Dangkong, Gu Tanjian, the Celestial Designer Department, and the officials who are truly loyal to the court, such as the 8 marquises and 3 dukes. Now that Princess Yuefu is condensing the life's wish sphere, she can't deal with the court, and the same goes for the 4th prince. The only one with status is prince, so it's time to train your political wisdom. I think this is also the emperor's arrangement. Conferring the title of concubine Wu Dangkong as concubine Ming will draw out the favor of the heavenly Tao. Conferring the title of crown prince on the 2nd prince will bind the 3 heavenly venerables to the court. Since the 3 heavenly venerables have spent a lot of effort to nurture the 2nd prince, it would be inconvenient for them to nurture other existences that can topple the court. Father's foresight is not something we can compare to. Gu Chensha nodded his head and roughly guessed what Heaven Talisman Emperor was thinking. The two of them discussed for a while more. Zhuge Ye spoke of many of his thoughts, including how to form alliances in the court. Gu Chensha felt enlightened after hearing this. Gu Chensha's body moved. Xiantian energy wrapped around him, and he was already far away. In just a few breaths, he was thousands of miles away. His current strength had exceeded that of when he had Dragon Sect. Back then, he was at Tao Realm 14 transformations and had Dragon Sect and Buzhou Palace. There were 360 heaven-mending generals in the depth. At that time, his combat strength was shocking and he could casually kill 18 great Tao Golden Core experts. But now, he was even stronger. Although he didn't have Dragon Sect, Buzhou Palace, or heaven-mending generals, he had merged with the space-time power of the Grotto Heaven ritual. He refined the Skeleton Demon Emperor and the Skeleton Demon Emperor. He also merged the mysteries of the celestial slaying god slaying flying knife into his soul. He cultivated for 3 months and reached the peak of Tao Realm 17 transformations, Tao Splitting Spirit. Chapter 334. The 17th transformation of the Tao Realm, the Tao Splitting Soul Division, was the foundation transformation, and it was the preparation for breaking through to the 18th transformation of the Great Tao. The 3 nascent divinities accumulated a huge amount of essence, then refined their own stellar energy, fused them together, and formed a golden core. Generally speaking, the golden core was a combination of primordial spirit and stellar energy. In terms of combat prowess, the gold core could compress and condense innate energy, increasing its quality by several times, or even 10 times. For example, right now, Gu Chensha's innate energy could only be stored in his Sea of Qi, in his acupoints, and in the depths of his meridians. However, after forming the gold core, he could compress his innate energy into many talismans and combine them together to form a gold core. The golden core was a body of energy. For those who had not formed their gold core, the quality and quantity of their innate energy were far inferior to those who had formed their gold core. Of course, cultivating a golden core was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, they would explode, destroying both their body and soul. This was equivalent to ordinary people making explosives. Many people died without a trace. Moreover, the condensation of a golden core was millions of times more dangerous than explosive. Even with Gu Chencha's current aptitude, it would be extremely troublesome for him to cultivate to the golden core realm. It was not something that could be formed instantly. Under the effect of his three nascent divinities, the innate energy in his body condensed into numerous runes, which then condensed in the Danzhong acupoint on his chest. There were three most important parts of the human body. The first was the sea of consciousness in the brain, the second was the sea of qi in the dantian deep in the lower abdomen, and the third was the Tanzhong acupoint on the chest, also known as the middle dantian. It was a junction between the upper spirit and lower qi. To condense a golden core, the primordial spirit in the brain would descend and the gang qi in the sea of qi would rise. They would intertwine in the sandalwood, growing and multiplying endlessly. Once a golden core was condensed here, one's entire body would undergo a fundamental change. Unknowingly, one would seize life from the heavens and obtain 1,000 years of lifespan. Then, it was time for the Tao realm 19 changes, size manipulation. After forming a gold core, the fleshly body was relatively weak. That was why the 19th transformation used the gold core to temper the fleshly body to the limit. The limit was that it could be big or small. It could be as big as 1,000 feet tall giant or as small as a speck of dust. At this moment, his physical body had reached its limit. The vigor of his essence blood was no longer something a human could do. At this moment, his physical body had reached its limit. His primordial spirit and Xiantian Gangqi had also reached their limit. He had to reach the 20th transformation, gather and disperse, and combine the three elements into one to transform into magical power. The power of law. On the way back to the new capital city, Gu Chensha pondered the problems of cultivation. He was very clear about his future path and changes. He had no doubts about what each change was and what it was for. If it was the other embellishments of the mysterious gate of immortal Tao, perhaps he wouldn't know the reason for the changes in each realm. However, he had received guidance from many giant-level experts, and he had even sacrificed many times to obtain the divination of the heavenly Tao. Any changes in the overall situation were clear at a glance. His cultivation was meticulous, and there was absolutely no doubt about it. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, the power of his nascent divinity descended, and in his sea of qi, the innate stellar energy rose, converging at the Tanzhong meridian on his chest, entangling with each other. Under the effect of the nascent divinity, the stellar energy condensed, compressed, and finally transformed into runes. It was a long process. As expected, forming the golden core requires huge amounts of earth energy and primordial spirit. I used up a lot of the stellar energy in my body to form one rune. Gu Chensha calculated inwardly, based on my speed, if I don't rely on external forces and just absorb spirit qi to produce stellar energy to condense a golden core, I'm afraid I'll need several years to condense a perfect golden core. Of course, this is because the cultivation technique I've comprehended is too profound, so the quality of the golden core I condense is extremely high. The energy required is too huge and pure. Different cultivation techniques would cause the power of the golden core to differ as well. Cultivating top cultivation techniques would naturally increase the strength of the golden core. However, there were downsides too. The stronger the technique, the harder it was to form the golden core. The success rate was low and the danger was high. For example, the Son of Heaven sealing technique formed a golden core that could suppress the gods and demons of the 9 skies and 10 lands. However, without the Heaven Talisman, it couldn't be formed. If outsiders tried to form it, they would definitely die. Huge amounts of essence energy exploded and turned to dust. Gu Chencha's golden core was formed by the common people heaven repairing technique and the common people heaven reforming technique. The golden core had two sides that were perfectly merged. The common people heaven repairing technique and common people heaven reforming technique were formed from the Son of Heaven sealing technique and the Great Massacre God technique. Of course, they weren't as strong as the two techniques, but they were most suitable for Gu Chensha and Lu Baiwei. They were the Daos that they comprehended themselves. The Daos that they comprehended themselves formed the golden core, and the risk was really small. In just a short while, Gu Chensha arrived at the new capital city. After 2 to 3 days, the construction of the new capital city was close to completion. Giant palaces were erected, and there were even floating palaces that floated in the clouds. These were all created by the Celestial Designer Institute. This really was the Heaven Palace. No matter who came to the city and saw the giant floating palaces, as well as the white jade stairs that stretched from the ground to the sky, they would feel a desire to worship it. The palaces in the sky that were wrapped in clouds were a miracle. Although the imperial court didn't hold a ceremony, in truth, they had already started to move the capital. Now, all the matters of the imperial court weren't handled in the sky-bearing Pass Palace, but in the new capital city. The Coming Xian division was also in the capital city. At the outskirts of the city were many nobles and aristocratic families that spent large amounts of money to buy land and build manors on it. One couldn't just say that every inch of land was worth gold anymore. Every inch of land was worth a sky-high price. Who would have thought that 5 to 6 years ago, this was a barren land filled with jungles and swamps? Poisonous bugs were everywhere, beasts were everywhere, and barbarian races were cruel. It was a really barbaric place. The power of the imperial court could flip the oceans and rivers. The planning of the capital city was very orderly. The wide streets were all paved with stone mud. They were as firm as steel and there wasn't a single speck of dust on them. On both sides there were wide rivers that flowed. On both sides of the rivers there were jade-green celestial peach trees. The peach blossoms were in full bloom, and the fragrance wafted about. The jade-green celestial peach was a variant of the purple-green celestial peach. Of course, its effect wasn't as good as the purple-green celestial peach, but it grew faster. Moreover, it could cultivate earth chi, improve the soil, and eliminate evil spirit. Gu Chensha landed, but he didn't return to the Coming Xian division. Instead, he went to a manor outside the capital city. This manor covered an area of dozens of acres. If it was in the original capital city, it would be considered a mansion. But in this barbarian land, the land was wide, so it wasn't very big. Fortunately, the servants around the manor were full of vigor and spirit. They had received good training and were smart and valiant. One could tell that the master of this manor was definitely a powerful figure. On the signboard in front of the gate of the manor were a few big words: Third River Count's Manor. The first time Gu Chensha came here after coming from the bottomless sea of sin was to find Third River Count. This person married a woman from the Hing family. Generally speaking, people thought that he was a henchman of the first prince. However, a few years ago, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor punished the first prince and stripped him of his military power. However, he promoted him to a minister of the imperial court. Later, when the great calamity struck, Third River Count was in charge of the disaster relief. His contributions were outstanding and his ability was outstanding. Now, he was a pillar of the imperial court. Gu Chensha knew that this person was extremely powerful and unfathomable. Furthermore, he wasn't determined to follow the Hing family. He had his own ideals and a set of strategies for governing the country. Zhuge Ye had given him the idea to come and have a chat with this person. In Zhuge Ye's evaluation of Third River Count was second only to Jin Suebua. He wasn't any weaker than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. It must be known that Jin Suebua had always been mysterious and unfathomable. Later on, he became the Lord of 5 stars. In terms of talent, he was half an innate saint. Even in the 72 profound gates of the immortal Tao, it was difficult to find an existence that could compare to him. Jean Suebois, who was second only to the Lord of 5 stars, was extremely terrifying. Gu Chensha arrived at the gate of Third River Count's manor. He didn't bring any attendants. He was alone. Halt! At this time, the guards at the gate roared when they saw someone approaching. 7 or 8 armored warriors with war blades hanging from their waists surrounded them, waiting in formation. This is Third River Count's manor. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to approach. Go and report that Monarch Chen has come to pay a visit to Third River Count. Gu Chensha didn't directly barge in. Instead, he followed the usual protocol of visiting from the outside. Whoosh! A person had already appeared at the gate. It was Third River Count. He immediately waved his hand. How dare you block His Highness's way? Kneel. He immediately bowed. Welcome, Your Highness. I didn't know that Your Highness had arrived and was impolite. Please forgive me, Your Highness. This is a sudden visit. As a private meeting, I wish to chat with Third River Count. There's no need to be nervous, and there's no need for such formalities. Gu Chensha waved his hand. Your Highness, please come inside. Third River Count's eyes flashed as he hurriedly led the way. Logically, when officials and nobles visited each other, they would send someone to deliver an invitation first. It would be easier for the other party to make arrangements. Such a sudden visit was actually very rash. However, Gu Chensha was a prince with a noble status. He was now one of the 3 heads of the calming immortal department. No one in the court dared to look down on him. Some ministers even felt that he had the air of a king and could inherit the throne in the future. Among the many princes, he was the only one who had been in the limelight in recent years. The two came to the depths of the manor. Third River Count sent all the attendants away and brewed tea for Gu Chensha alone. I know that Your Highness has recently been suppressing demons at the broken seal of the bottomless sea of sin. You've refined an ancient heavenly demon tree and killed countless demons. If not for Your Highness, I'm afraid another devil disaster would have broken out in Sin Province. The court would have to expend a lot of effort to suppress it. The devil disaster is no small matter. I've had some effect suppressing it there. But with the expansion of the devil disaster, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold it for long. Gu Chensha knew that Third River Count had a profound cultivation and must know something about him in the bottomless sea of sin. If the court and the rear are stable, I'll have some confidence in suppressing the devil disaster. But I'm afraid that the situation of the court is not stable. If there are internal and external troubles, it will be difficult to continue. There was a double meaning in his words. Third River Count didn't speak and remained silent. Gu Chensha didn't intend to let him go. He continued to ask, Third River Count, do you know that the first person I came to when I came back from the bottomless sea of sin was you? I don't know, Third River Count answered quickly. Chapter 335. The situation in the court has stabilized, and the Crown Prince has also been confirmed. Consort Ming controls the upper study and keeps the Crown Prince in check, but they also act as each other's horns. This prevents the court from being dominated by one family and having the power to balance each other. It is also able to pool ideas and develop in many ways. Prince doesn't have to worry, the rear is very stable. The Third River Earl expressed his opinion. Oh? So this is how the Third River Earl understands. Gu Chensha played with the teacup. Then, does the Third River Earl think that Consort Ming and the Crown Prince are truly doing this for the court? It doesn't matter if they are sincere or not, the Third River Earl said. Sitting in that position is not up to others. Even if you ascend to the throne, you have to work for the welfare of the people. Otherwise, your reputation will be ruined. This is order. No matter who you are, even if you are a monster, As long as you sit in that position, you have to change yourself because of the position. The Third River Earl's words are correct. Gu Qinsha nodded. This is your opinion, and it is indeed unique. However, the current order and laws of the court are far from this level. The influence of the people in the world cannot be decisive. If one or a few people go against the law, it is enough to cause the world to return to a chaotic era. Princes' concerns are not without reason, but this matter is not something we officials can control. Since the emperor has appointed consort Ming and the crown prince, then the emperor must have his reasons, the Third River Earl said. Let's not talk about the crown prince and consort Ming. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. What does the Third River Earl think of Gu Tanjian? An ambitious person will definitely cause chaos in the world, the Third River Earl said decisively. What? Gu Qinsha was shocked. You are a member of the Heng family, and Gu Tanjian is the eldest prince's heir. You are both part of the Heng family. Aren't you afraid that someone will hear your comments? I am just speaking the truth. The Third River Earl was very calm. Although my wife is a member of the Heng family, the matters of the court are the matters of the world. How can I lose the bigger picture because of a small matter? The emperor had always been very disappointed in the Heng family and hated the eldest prince for not living up to expectations. Concubine Ming and the second prince are both highly regarded by His Majesty, but Gu Xingjian has been left idle. From this we can guess some clues. However, Gu Xingjian has actually recruited all the other princes and formed a huge faction. This shows that his ambition is clear, and he will definitely cause chaos in the world. No matter how incompetent Wu Dangkong and the second prince were, they were still conferred the title by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Gu Tanjian was different. He had always been in the wilderness, but his power was greater than any of the other factions. This made many people in the imperial court unhappy, because he didn't follow the rules and had no order. If those in the wilderness could control the people in the imperial court, then what was the point of the imperial court? With Earl San's words, I can feel much more at ease. Earl San is currently in the upper study room, in charge of managing the world's financial expenditures and some matters. I can cooperate more with the Celestial Tranquility Department. Gu Qinsha stood up. He didn't want to talk any further with Earl San. After talking for a while, he already had a rough idea of Count Three Rivers' philosophy and standpoint. Farewell, Your Highness. Earl San was also very direct. Gu Qinsha's figure flickered slightly and disappeared. After a few dozen breaths, a butler hurriedly walked in. Old Master, Prince Heng's heir has sent someone to inquire about you. Good method, finding out so quickly. Earl San's expression turned extremely cold. It seems that there are still spies in my residence. Gu Qinsha left Earl San's residence and returned to the Celestial Tranquility Department. There were people in charge of the Celestial Tranquility Department now, mainly his foster son, Yi Ming, Yi Zheng, the green and white snakes, Yu Hanlu, Long Yun, Long Zifei, Lu Huayue, and the others. They were originally the backbone of the department, and after going through the common people's wish spheres cleansing, expanding their sea of consciousness and improving their aptitude, their cultivations had increased by a lot. Especially Long Zifei and Lu Huayue, they were peerless geniuses and could handle the situation of the Celestial Tranquility Department with ease. Their cultivations had also reached the 10 transformations of the Tao realm. The one with the highest realm was Yi Zheng. He was the Archbishop of Hell Serpent God Temple, and his status was similar to Yuan Shasheng's. He was captured by Grand Tutor Wenhong and then given to Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiyue. His mind was controlled and he became a slave. Now, Lu Baiyue and Zhuge Ye controlled the common people's wish sphere to cleanse his evil thoughts and convert him. He broke through and formed a great Tao golden core. He was an expert at the 17th transformation of the Tao realm, splitting soul division, and one of his souls had even taken over Chongyang Xian Sek's peerless genius Li Yaoyang. King, you are back? When Gu Chernshaw landed in the Celestial Tranquility Department, everyone sensed it and hurried over to greet him. How has the Celestial Tranquility Department been doing recently? Gu Chernshaw asked Long Zifei. He had high hopes for Long Zifei. This kid had the bloodline of the Dragon God and Ocean God, and it was slowly being activated. He had completed many missions in the Celestial Path, and was slowly making a name for himself. Reporting to Your Highness, the Calming Immortal Department has recently received the support of many second- and third-rate Immortal Dao sections. There are even some disciples from the 72 Mystic sects who have secretly contacted us. Our business has increased by 3 to 5 times. Long Zifei reported. Apart from that, the Crown Prince has sent people to buy things from our Celestial Tranquility Department. It seems like he wants to build a good relationship with us. Mr. Zhuge has already written a letter to the Crown Prince. Second Prince Gu Xiansha had been the Crown Prince for 2 months. At that time, Gu Chernshaw had been refining the skeleton demon emperor in his body, so he didn't know much about what was happening in the imperial court. After talking for a while, Gu Chernshaw already knew the situation in the imperial court like the back of his hand. He knew how the Celestial Tranquility Department operated and many things within the Celestial Path. Your Highness, His Highness the Crown Prince has just sent someone to deliver an invitation. He invites you to his residence for a chat. It was Luo Xiao. Luo Xiao was the sect master of the Three Polarity sect. He had been persuaded by Jin Suebua to join the Celestial Tranquility Department and was now a capable general. However, he hadn't made the wrong move. Ever since he had joined the Celestial Tranquility Department, he had received enormous benefit. This was especially true in the past year. Zhuge had become the Lord of 7 stars, and Jin Suebua had become the Lord of 5 stars. They had given him a few things to help him break through his bottleneck. I'm still sitting here, and second brother already knows. You're really well informed. Gu Chernshaw accepted the invitation. I also want to meet this second brother, who hasn't appeared in the imperial court in over 10 years, and then immediately became the Crown Prince. He gave a few instructions, then set off for the Crown Prince's residence. The Crown Prince's residence was located in the Imperial Palace, in the center of the capital city. Up a flight of white jade steps, one could see the white clouds in the sky. The Crown Prince's residence was located in the east. The Imperial Palace was a magical treasure, not an ordinary structure. From this, it was possible to see how powerful the Grand Eternal Dynasty had been. At the same time, the Imperial Palace itself was incredibly powerful, even more so than the Buzhou Palace. Nominally, it had been built by the Celestial Designer Institution, but in truth, it had been left behind by Grand Emperor Heavenly Talisman. The defensive power of the Imperial Palace was in no way inferior to some of the secret locations of the 72 Immortal Dao sects. Gu Chernshaw ascended the white jade steps and quickly arrived at the Crown Prince's residence on the east side. Numerous handmaidens paced back and forth within the palace, and flower beds forged from white jade were filled with flowers that never wilted. This was the Heavenly Palace. In front of the residence, the second Prince Gu Xiansha, the current Crown Prince, was already waiting at the door to greet Gu Chernshaw. Greetings, Crown Prince. Gu Chernshaw bowed. Etiquette was a must. Don't. Before he bowed, Gu Xiansha held him up and said, My brother is now in charge of the Tranquil Fairy Department and has been given a gold medal by my father. You don't need to bow to me. Besides, we don't need so much etiquette between us. Gu Xiansha smiled as if he hadn't seen his brother for many years and had missed him very much. Second brother is now the Crown Prince, above us. Etiquette is necessary. Gu Chernshaw still insisted on saluting. You and I have something to talk about. Come in with me. Gu Xiansha led the way. The two entered the depths of the Crown Prince's residence one after another. Gu Xiansha sent away all his attendants and guards, leaving the two in the secret chamber. Second brother is really amazing. If I guess right, in the bottomless sea of sin, I have to thank you and Wu Dangkong for driving the demons, which saved me a lot of time to condense the heavenly demon tree. Gu Chencha's words had a double meaning. Of course, he knew that Gu Xianxia was plotting against him. 19th brother, you may have guessed wrong. I have never been to the bottomless sea of sin, nor have I cooperated with Wu Dangkong. Gu Xianxia lied without any shame. So I guessed wrong? Gu Chernxia also pretended not to know and no longer entangled in this topic. Second brother, why did you come to me this time? Do you want to share the house with our tranquil fairy department? We are brothers. Let's not beat around the bush. Gu Xianxia said, 19th brother, what do you think about me being the crown prince? In terms of strength, cultivation, and ability, second brother is the most suitable. Father has a keen eye. 7th brother, 1st brother, 3rd brother, and 10th brother are still far behind second brother. If I guess right, second brother's current cultivation is probably at the 21st transformation of the Tao realm. Soon, he will reach the 22nd transformation of the phenomenon of heaven and earth, Gu Chernxia said. 19th brother, you're truly perceptive. I can see that you've reached the 17th transformation, the Tao-splitting divinity separation. You've cultivated 3 nascent divinities, and you'll soon reach the golden core of the great Tao. You've already surpassed 4th brother, and your talent is above mine. In fact, you should be the crown prince. Gu Xianxia did not exaggerate when he said that. He was extremely afraid of Gu Chernxia. With Gu Chencha's current cultivation, he might not lose to him if he fought with him. There was a gap of 4 realms between them. If they were in the same realm, Gu Xianxia would not be a match for Gu Chernxia at all. Father chose second brother, so it must be the right choice. Gu Chernxia would not believe what his second brother said. In the future, no matter what second brother wants to do as his younger brother, I will definitely fully support him. Chapter 336. Second brother, just tell me what you need to do. At the end of the day, the world and the court still belong to the Gu family. The Wu family can forget about getting a slice of the pie, Gu Chernxia said deliberately. That's the truth, Gu Xianxia said. No matter who becomes the emperor in the future, the world will still belong to the Gu family. But if it's taken away by another family, the Gu family will be wiped out. Second brother, do you want to take back the regent's position? Gu Chernxia obviously knew what second brother was trying to say. In the past, when the emperor wasn't around, the crown prince would be the regent. But now there was a crown prince, and the imperial concubine was the regent. It was very awkward. It's easier said than done. Wu Dongkong's cultivation is unfathomable, and she's backed by a powerful force. The Wu family and the Black Heaven Earth sect are involved, Gu Xianxia said. Gu Xianxia said, if 19th brother can lend me a hand, there is a way to make Wu Dangkong resign from his position. I know what you're thinking, second brother, but you don't seem to know what Wu Dongkong's greatest trump card is. Gu Chernxia began to tempt him. He wanted to get a lot of good stuff from second brother. What is it? Gu Xianxia asked. Gu Chernxia smiled, but didn't say anything. Oh, old 19, you're playing tricks with me. Tell me, what do you want from second brother? Gu Xianxia obviously understood. I know second brother has a treasure called the Banishing Immortal Talisman. As soon as Gu Chernxia said it, second brother's expression suddenly became extremely cold and murderous. Old 19, how did you know? Second brother stood up. Did second brother forget that the calming immortal agency has a lord of 7 stars? Gu Chernxia didn't care about second brother's attitude. Even if second brother attacked, he wouldn't be afraid. The current Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge, has obtained all of the memories of the previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang. What do you think, second brother? Amazing. Second brother calmed himself down. He was a peerless, ambitious, and ruthless character, and was well aware of how powerful the Lord of Seven Stars was. But, old 19, you really are a greedy lion. You even want my Banish Immortal Talisman? That's my trump card. The Banishing Immortal Talisman is powerful. However, the value of my request is countless times greater than the Banishing Immortal Talisman, Gu Chunxia said. How can I trust you? Second brother stared at Gu Chunxia. We'll have many opportunities to work together in the future. Moreover, I know that second brother doesn't want to be controlled by others. Even though the might of the Banish Immortal Talisman is great, the person who gave it to you is probably harboring evil intentions. Gu Chunxia had a glib tongue. His words were like a deluge of heavenly flowers, capturing people's hearts. After all, you and I are blood brothers. Second brother, do you trust outsiders or do you trust your own brother? I believe you can make a choice. As expected, second brother's expression flickered. Second brother, you know how deep the resources of the Celestial Calmness Department are. We control the Dragonization Pagoda, the Buzhou Palace, and the Heavenly Demon Tome. We combine those three treasures into the populace's wish sphere, and with the Lord of Seven Stars presiding over it, we can definitely rival the Supreme Profound Immortal Tao Gate. Gu Chunxia struck while the iron was hot. Mr. Zhuge, you've already divined that in your heart, second brother, you absolutely won't let anyone control you. Old 19, you've made some progress. You actually managed to convince me. Second brother's eyes were still incomparably gloomy, but his tone was much more relaxed. How about this? I can give you the Banishing Immortal Talisman, but in addition to telling me Wu Dongkong's secret, you also have to lend me the populace's wish sphere. Second brother, you want to borrow the power of the sphere to purify your cultivation base and circulate your magic power more exquisitely. By combining the 5 elements and transforming them, you can break through to the 22nd transformation, the lawful manifestations of heaven and earth. Thanks to Zhuge Ye's guidance, Gu Chunxia knew exactly what was going on with second brother. The Lord of Seven Stars really is terrifying. How come I don't have people like her among my subordinates? I can't believe someone like her joined the Celestial Calmness Bureau. Second brother's heart was filled with jealousy, but he didn't express it. Instead, he asked, Old 19, do you agree or not? Of course I do. We're blood brothers, replied Gu Chunxia. He didn't refuse. All of this was part of Zhuge Ye's plan. In that case, let's complete our transaction. After a moment of thought, second brother flipped his hand, producing a jade talisman. The talisman was the color of primal chaos, and looked completely ordinary. Gu Chunxia recognized it to be the character for banishing. In ancient times, this was the Banishing Immortal Talisman, a talisman that struck fear into the hearts of many immortals. With one talisman, even the strongest immortal would be reduced to an ordinary person, and would never be able to practice cultivation again. Gu Chunxia waved his hand, taking the talisman into his Dantian's sea of energy. The talisman was incredibly powerful, but it couldn't break through space. That was because spatial grotto heavens weren't the power of immortals, they were the power of gods. Once one reached the Tao realm 30 transformations, they would be able to open up their grotto heavens. That was the power of gods. The Banishing Immortal Talisman was only effective against immortals, but it was rumored that the 3 Celestials had an even stronger talisman called the God-subduing talisman, which was used against gods. Old 19, can you tell me the secret now? Second brother frowned. It's actually very simple. Wu Dongkong has already obtained the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman. This was also the reason why Imperial Father made her the regent. She was someone who was favored by the heavenly Tao. Right now, her strength had not been raised to its peak. If she raised it to a tyrannical realm, then she could reveal this secret. What do you think would happen? You, the crown prince, probably aren't a match for her. Gu Qinsha threw out a heavy blow. What? Second brother Gu Xiansha sat down. No wonder, no wonder. I should have guessed this long ago. But this matter is too shocking and inconceivable. I didn't dare to think that I would really have such a thing. This matter is definitely true. Gu Qinsha said. Second brother just needs to pay attention to some details, and you will comprehend it. This news is indeed important. Second brother Gu Xiansha exhaled. Moreover, I can confirm that this matter is true. Second brother, what do you think? Maybe you can use this chance to break free from the person behind you. Of course, we can squeeze all the benefits out of the person behind you. Gu Qinsha's tone was really tempting. Second brother, actually, all of this is within father's plans. Father made Wu Dengkong the regent to draw out the heaven sacrifice talisman. He made you the crown prince to draw out the person behind you. Those people all have evil intentions. It's not good for the Gu family or the imperial court. 19th brother, your department of tranquility is still too weak. If you have another 100 years, everything will be fine. Gu Xuansha's eyes flashed. We have father behind us. Gu Qinsha said. Now that father is in seclusion, many people think that something has happened. In fact, everything is under father's control. Second brother, what do you think? If that's the case, I will form an alliance with the Department of Tranquility. We will advance and retreat together. Second brother Gu Xiansha seemed to have made up his mind. Of course, I know second brother will make the right choice. Gu Qinsha cupped his hands and said, Second brother, I still have something to do. I will leave now. I have said what I have to say. Farewell, 19th brother. Second brother looked at Gu Qinsha as he left. After Gu Qinsha left, he became serious again. You want to use me? How could it be so easy? However, I can use the tiger to swallow the wolf. They will fight each other, and I will reap the benefit. Wu Dengkong, I want to obtain your heaven sacrifice decree. With this talisman, I can break free from the 3 celestial venerables. As for the Department of Tranquility, in the future, when I achieve great things, I can still use you. I want to subdue the Celestial Tao sect, and make them pay me taxes. That celestial banishing talisman is not so easy to obtain. There must be hidden dangers of the 3 celestial venerables in it. Although it is powerful, I don't dare to use it. I don't want to be controlled by the 3 celestial venerables. I want to see what tricks the Department of Tranquility has up its sleeve. After leaving the Crown Prince's residence, Gu Qinsha went straight back to his fief. In his fief, everything within 100 miles was shrouded in starlight. To people outside, it looked like a huge whirlpool of stars. There was no way to enter it. Even if an expert came, he would be met with great resistance. He couldn't enter Gu Qinsha's residence at all. However, the whirlpool of stars that spanned hundreds of miles gradually began to shrink. Gu Qinsha knew that in the end, the whirlpool of stars enveloping his fief would completely disappear. Only the ordinary land would be left without any strange phenomena. That would be the completion of the sphere of the people's wish. It would escape into the space-time turbulence and hide completely. He stepped into the whirlpool of stars and arrived at the place where the sphere of the people's wish was condensed. The 4th, vermilion bird, black tortoise, Zhuge Ye's real body, and Jin Suebuo were still condensing. Mr. Zhuge, I followed your plan and obtained a celestial banishing talisman. However, this talisman contains endless mysteries. I can't comprehend it for now. Gu Qinsha took out the celestial banishing talisman. Your Highness, you really have a glib tongue. I thought it would take some time to convince the second prince. Zhuge Ye took the celestial banishing talisman and slowly stroked it, as if sensing the intent within. Gradually, a cold smile appeared on his face. As expected, the 3 celestial sovereigns set up extremely powerful restrictions. If I hadn't gradually received the memories of the previous Lord of Seven Stars hidden in the depths of the spacetime turbulence, I wouldn't have known how sinister the three celestial sovereigns are. The previous Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang's death, is inextricably linked to the three celestial sovereigns. What do you think will happen, sir? Lu Baiwei asked expectantly. With this talisman, I can unleash its power. With the help of the restrictions left behind by the three celestial sovereigns, I can completely subdue the wills of the North Star Emperor and Ant Hu and open the final layer of the heavenly Yao Tome. When that happens, I can obtain all of the previous Lord of Seven Stars' memories, and even the treasures he left behind. I will preserve these memories in the sphere of the people's wish for your highness and the princess to meditate on. Zhuge Ye suddenly inserted the celestial banishing talisman into the sphere. Chapter 337. The three heavenly venerables are indeed sinister and cunning. They've already started scheming against us, and there will be many more schemes in the future. It's good to be able to scheme against them this once. Jean Suebwa said cheerfully. Back then, many of the patriarchs of the 72 mystical sects were actually schemed against by the three heavenly venerables. For example, the patriarch of the Tai mystical sect, Heavenly Lord Tai, was extremely powerful, but he was also harmed by the three heavenly venerables. The three heavenly venerables are the cancer of the world. If they don't die, the world won't be at peace. The three heavenly venerables have always claimed that they are the embodiment of the great Tao, that they are existences that split the world apart. Actually, they're just blowing their own trumpet. Many of the mystical sects don't respect them, but they're too weak. Lu Baiwei said, if we sow discord between the mystical sects and the three heavenly venerables, we might be able to get a good result. Come, lend me a hand. Zhuge Ye said, we're far from being a match for the three heavenly venerables, so we have to hold back. Gu Chensha, Lu Baiwei, the fourth, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Jean Suebwa, and Zhuge Ye worked together and infused their primordial spirit power and innate stellar energy into the life's wish sphere. In the core, Zhuge Ye used some unknown method to detonate the banishing celestial talisman. Buzz, it was unknown what was happening within the life's wish sphere, but it started to expand violently, as though there was a burst of energy that wanted to destroy everything. Within that energy, three beams of light appeared. One was black, one was white, and the last one was resplendent like gold. These three powers represented parts of the restrictions of the three heavenly venerables. Gu Chensha said, the will of the three heavenly venerables wants to seize our life's wish sphere. I've already calculated it. Unfortunately, the life's wish sphere not only contains the North Star will, but also the power of the Death Protection Talisman. The Death Immunity Talisman is the axle. It can combine the three Empyreans' restrictions with the will of the North Star Empire. They can work together, oppose each other, and explode and shake each other. This is equivalent to the three Empyreans helping us. Zhuge Ye said, in ancient times, the three Celestials plotted against the previous Lord of Seven Stars. This time, I'm going to borrow the Emperor's power to use them a little. Rumble. The interior of the common people's wish sphere was completely filled with black, white, and gold light. Many of the array formations within seemed to be on the verge of melting. What the three Empyreans had secretly hidden within the banishing immortal talisman had finally been exposed. However, right at that moment, another burst of earth law erupted from the depths of the core. This law was the law of the earth. It bore the weight of all things and nurtured all living beings. This was the will of the North Star Empire. The North Star continent represented Earth. Earth did not refer to soil, but to nurture, to bear the burden, and to live on endlessly. The North Star Empire, the ancestor of all demons, was above the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. The laws of earth contained the laws of metal, wood, water, and fire. Water flowed on the earth, and there were also flames on the earth. The soil contained metal, and above the soil there was even wood. As soon as this law of earth was born, it actually resisted the restrictions of the three Empyreans. However, as soon as the three Empyreans' restrictions sensed this law of earth, they were like flies that had seen blood. They swooped over and transformed into a three-colored heavenly wheel, constantly grinding, wanting to completely refine this law of earth. To the three Empyreans, the law of earth was an extremely precious existence. If the three Empyreans' power could devour the North Star Empire's will, refine the law of earth, and then fly back, they would most likely obtain a positive fruit that they would never be able to comprehend. However, how could the North Star Empires will be so easily devoured? The law of earth revolved violently, evolving into 4 other types of laws. The 5 elemental laws were complete, forming a giant millstone that was grinding the three Empyreans' restrictions and power. The North Star Empire's will itself was only a remnant soul. This remnant soul was very difficult to recover, but if it devoured the three Empyreans' restrictions, it might be able to recover a portion of its power. This was because the three Empyreans were powerhouses that had surpassed the 36 transformations and reached another realm. The power of this realm was indescribably mysterious, and it could be used to restore the North Star Empire. Therefore, when the two sides collided, they had to destroy the other side to obtain an opportunity. This was also something that Zhuge Ye needed to calculate. This chess piece left behind by the three Empyreans would never let the North Star Empires will go. The North Star Empires will also not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In an instant, in the most mysterious core of the Life's Will sphere, which was originally the core of the Sky Demon Book, the battle had already turned heaven and earth upside down. It was as chaotic as cooking porridge, and the space-time inside was almost shattered. The banishing immortal talisman's own power couldn't disrupt space-time, but it contained the three Empyreans' will. This power surpassed that of a sage. Suppress. Zhuge Ye suddenly waved his hand, and many ancient characters appeared. These characters were actually somewhat similar to the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art. They were actually divine abilities left behind by the previous Lord of 7 Stars. Everyone followed Zhuge Ye's thoughts and activated the Life's Will sphere. The power left behind by the Death Immunity Talisman was secretly activated. From the inside to the outside of the sphere, a domineering will that could distort the heavenly Tao immediately appeared. Jiang Gongwang, leave your unfulfilled wishes and will to me. I will avenge the three Empyreans' plot against you. Zhuge Ye suddenly formed a hand seal, as if opening a mysterious door. Instantly, everyone saw a mysterious light shoot out from the depths of space-time into the depths of his nascent spirit and sea of consciousness. These were the memories left behind by the previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang. The previous Lord of 7 Stars was a profound schemer. Not only had he left behind vast memories in the depths of space-time, but he had also left behind a vast treasure trove for the next Lord of 7 Stars. By recruiting Zhuge Ye, the Calming Immortal Bureau had truly obtained an endless treasure trove. If they could really find the first Lord of 7 Stars treasure trove, it would be far better than obtaining the Heavenly Designer Institute. Right now, Zhuge Ye was only comprehending its mysteries, and had obtained a few scattered memories. As his cultivation base increased, he would be able to obtain even more memories. Still, Zhuge Ye's cultivation base continued to climb. Your Highness, Princess, let's use our nascent spirits to meditate. Right now, the will of the North Star and the three Empyreans are fighting inside the sphere. Their memories will be branded into the sphere, and we can use this opportunity to obtain their secret. Rumble. Everyone's psychic power merged into one, then seeped into the sphere. In the blink of an eye, countless memories flooded into their mind. They felt as if they could see the primeval age of chaos. The endless land floated through space-time, suppressing all heavens. It was the center of countless dimensions, and above it was the divine continent. Countless primeval beasts had fought against each other. The North Star had been born from the primeval Dragon Gate, and had been born with the natural laws of the earth. At the same time, the three Empyreans had been born. However, these memory fragments were fragmented and not very coherent. Nevertheless, everyone still benefited greatly from them. This was a different perspective, a deeper understanding of the natural laws of heaven and earth, various Taoist techniques, the endless land, and various spacetime. Finally, some of the memories of the previous Lord of Seven Stars, Zhuge, were transmitted into everyone's minds. Everyone had their own enlightenment. Even the tiniest fragment of these memories was a huge source of wealth. Ha 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 ha. I've finally gained enlightenment. In the blink of an eye, Lu Baiwei devoured all of the memories, turning them into her own. Her body suddenly dissipated. Her golden core vanished, and so did her fleshly body. Instead, she transformed into a stream of magic power that glowed like the moon. Silver light flowed down like quicksilver. Lu Baiwei transformed into a bright moon, as if she had returned to her original state. She had originally been at the 19 transformations of the Tao realm, and could change size at will. Now that she had broken through, she had transformed her golden core and fleshly body into magic power. Once her magic power was complete, she stepped into a whole new level. Any blade or sword, even ordinary iron, would become sharp after being imbued with spiritual energy. After being refined by connate astral energy, meridians would appear. After being refined by the nascent divinity, they would become magical treasures. But if they were imbued with magic power, they would become truly powerful objects, and even change their own characteristic. For example, people with powerful magic power could directly change the structure of matter, and turn ordinary iron into gold. This was what turning stone into gold was like. Only people with magic power could have such a realm. Lu Baiwei's astral energy, nascent divinity, and fleshly body were all really strong. The three of them merged into one and turned into magic power. That was really amazing and limitless. Her magic power turned into a bright moon that flew into the sky. She was really showing signs of being able to compete with the moon. Good, Princess Yuefu has finally comprehended the secrets of magic power and reached the 20 transformations of the Tao realm. Zhuge said, "From now on, it will be tough for anyone to kill you." At the size manipulation realm, although one's body could be big or small, the main body was still there. If one's head was sliced off, one would still die. At the 20 transformations, one would be a ball of magic power that was tough to kill. Honglong. After Lu Baiwei broke through, her strength increased greatly. Her magic surged into the common people's wish ball and opened up many formations that usually couldn't be opened. The entire ball spun at a crazy speed, and the space around started to twist. From the depths of space and time, energy surged over. This was what it looked like when the Great Massacre God technique was activated to the limit. Although Gu Chernxia had obtained so much knowledge, he still wasn't able to break through in a short time. He had to merge the nascent divinity and magic power in his body to form a golden core in his chest. This was a meticulous process, and he had to be careful. But now that so much knowledge surged into his consciousness, as long as he digested it, his control of the golden core would be even purer. In the future, the golden core he cultivated would be even stronger and the risks would be lower. Be it North Star Emperor, the previous Lord of Seven Stars Jiang Gongwang, or the three Celestial Venerables Primordial Ancient, Celestial Venerables Putua, and Celestial Venerables Victorious Fighting, they were all people who had surpassed the 36 transformations. They were people who didn't belong to the five element. As long as one obtained a sliver of their memories, normal cultivators would be able to change their way of thinking and step into a whole new realm. Chapter 338. Common People's Wish. Extinguish ambition. Protect the universe. Kill the traitors of the Tao. Zhuge Ye, Gu Qinsha, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Lu Baiwei, Jin Suebua, and the fourth worked together. Their cultivation base rose steadily. Countless explosions rang out from within the common people's wish sphere. It was as if stars had exploded, the earth split, and the seas dried up. Half a year passed. Finally, everything quieted down. Time is silent. Flowers bloom and wilt. A smile appeared on Zhuge Ye's face. My plan with the previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, has finally paid off. The 3 celestial sovereigns and the North Star will devour each other. With the power of the heavenly demon tome and the divine power of the death exemption talisman, this common people's wish sphere has a pure origin spirit. Now that we've branded it with our imprints, we can control this treasure. The 7 of them infused their soul imprints into the common people's wish sphere. Sure enough, there was an extremely powerful origin spirit inside. It had the aura of the North Star, the 3 celestial sovereigns, and even the ancient Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, as well as the Heaven Talisman Emperor in the Death Exemption Talisman. These auras combined to form a pure soul. It was like a newborn baby without any thoughts. It needed someone to teach and nurture it. Gu Qinsha and the others worked together to create the soul of the common people's wish sphere. At this moment, the common people's wish sphere had become a completely new treasure. It was no longer a combination of 3 treasures. It was like a person changing from 19 to 20. At this moment, the Milky Way whirlpool that had enveloped the ancient dusty sandland for hundreds of miles had all disappeared. Once again, the picturesque scenery of castles, manors, rivers, lakes, towers, bridges, shops, streets, and so on was restored. There was no longer anything strange. The common people's wish sphere had escaped into the space-time turbulence. It had become a true paradise. Gu Qinsha and the others were inside the common people's wish sphere. The huge space was like another world. There were mountains, rivers, flowers, and trees. It was as if they were in the primordial era. In the sky there was even a huge sun shining down on the world. The great sun was the soul of the common people's wish sphere. Within the great sun there were 7 indistinct figures. They were the soul imprints of Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, Zhuge Ye, the fourth, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Jin Suebua. The 7 of them held this unparalleled magic treasure together. We finally succeeded. Even if experts above Tao Realm Transformation 30 come, they won't be able to do anything to us. If we hide within, we will be perfectly safe. Zhuge Ye laughed heartily. From now on, our Celestial Tranquility Department's resources will be on par with any of the 72 arcane gates of the immortal Tao. We won't be inferior to any of the sage clans either. When this treasure was first refined, there were many mysteries. It was equivalent to a small world. Lu Baiwei looked around. But if we want to use all of its power, it still won't be enough. That's only natural. Our cultivation levels are still low. You must know that the Book of Heavenly Demons is a treasure written and refined by many demon sages. Only by cultivating to the level of a sage can we unleash its full power, Zhuge Ye said. However, this is still not an ideal Dharma treasure. It will be difficult to deal with the future. I need to find the treasures left behind by Jiang Gongwang and merge them into this sphere. Then, I'll merge the Peerless Sky Book and Eternal Sky Book into it to increase its strength. I obtained the memories of North Star, Lord of 7 Stars Jiang Gongwang, and the 3 celestial venerables. If I cultivate in this country, in just a few years I'll be able to grow. The Black Tortoise was delighted. It might have been the luckiest black tortoise in history. If my guess is correct, there's an azure dragon in the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Or maybe there's an unhatched azure dragon egg, and the second prince has a white tiger egg. Zhuge Ye said, after obtaining these 2 eggs and hatching them, the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and north star can be gathered in this common people's wish sphere. The laws are complete. Mr. Zhuge will be in charge of everything. Common people's divine generals, come out. With a thought from Gu Qinsha, 360 common people's divine generals appeared inside the common people's wish sphere. These common people's divine generals were like ancient gods. They had vertical eyes on their foreheads, and they held three-pointed, double-edged blades. Their armor glowed with auspicious light. It had been greatly improved. These common people's divine generals have changed so much. All of them have reached the 17th transformation of the Tao realm. They're just one step away from forming a golden core of the great Tao. Gu Qinsha was shocked to discover this. They will be able to reach the golden core of the great Tao realm soon. Zhuge Ye said, they are already inseparable from the common people's wish sphere. This sphere is their mother, and when the mother level up, they will naturally level up too. In the future, planting and cultivation will be done in the world inside the sphere. The land inside is true spiritual land and celestial land. No matter what kind of spiritual herbs you plant or what kind of spiritual beasts you feed, it will be thousands of times better than outside. Gu Qinsha had long discovered that the sphere inside the common people's wish sphere was split into 3 regions. One was the chaotic world, which was formed by the Heaven Demon Book. The second region was formed by the Buzhou Palace, which was a giant pool. Flames, ice crystals, and other energies flowed inside. As long as one threw materials in, they could create decent treasures and pills. The third region was formed by the Dragon Gate, which was also a tall door. Within the door, golden light shone, and it could raise one's talent. If a normal person entered the door, they would become a genius after coming out. However, this door's transformation was not limitless. Roughly one person could be transformed into a genius every month, and that was already very shocking. Gu Tanjian had relied on the power of the ancient dragon nourishing pill to turn people into geniuses. Once the pill was gone, he would be powerless. And now, the common people's wish sphere was absorbing many mysterious energies in the world, combining and decomposing them into an endless stream of dragon nourishing qi that could raise the talent of all living beings. In the future, this sphere in the chaotic flows of time and space could become the foundation of the calming immortal department. It could continuously produce all kinds of spiritual herbs, weapons, and armor. Only today did the calming immortal department truly have the capital to match the heavenly designer department. The heavenly designer department did not have such a powerful treasure. From now on, the calming immortal department's tax revenue from the immortal Tao will be refined by the common people's wish sphere, and its value will increase by at least tenfold. Even without the tax revenue from the immortal Tao, we can rely on this sphere to continuously extract energy from various dimensions, and then use the Grand Massacre God magic to combine it into matter. That way we can create an endless supply of treasures. Gu Qinsha understood the situation and was very satisfied. It's best not to create this sphere on a large scale, because it consumes a lot of energy. The most important thing is to accumulate energy, transform it, and reach a higher realm. Zhuge Ye said, right now we can only plunder all kinds of natural materials and treasures from the outside world, and set up grand formations in the depths of the sphere to increase its power. We can't let the sphere do its work. That's right, Zhuge Ye said. Besides, we don't lack resources anymore. Lu Baiwen knew about this. Oh right. Qinsha, you obtained the banishing immortal talisman and schemed against the 3 celestials. You'll have to be careful of their counterattack. I'll be careful, Gu Qinsha said. Now that the sphere has been successfully condensed, I'm afraid that our crown prince will come and borrow the power of the sphere to increase his cultivation base, attempting to reach the 22 days of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. It's fine. This is what I promised him. And even if I help him ascend, there are benefits to it. I can collect this person's information and secrets, and from there, obtain information about the white tiger egg. Zhuge Ye smiled coldly. As a pawn of the three celestials, the second prince's value is far from being squeezed dry. Mr. Zhuge, you want to let the second prince go clean. The fourth laughed. No, I'm helping him break free from the three celestial shackles. That's what he thinks too. Zhuge Ye waved his hand. He definitely won't be willing to be a pawn of the three celestials. And now, he thinks that the world is his. He also wants to unify the immortal Tao and become the #1 great emperor in history. Now that I've done what I wanted to do, I'd better return to the demon realm of the Sin province. Gu Qinsha looked at the sphere. It was a treasure he had painstakingly refined, and now it was connected to his flesh and blood. This sphere can already break through space-time and transmit its power down, making up for the touch of ghosts and gods in the Sin province. At the most crucial moment, this sphere can even descend into the demon realm and help me kill demon emperor-level experts. This is the fastest way to ascend. Zhuge Ye also agreed. The heavenly demon tree is a plunder method. It's the naked primordial demon path, where the strong prey on the weak and plunder everything. There's no morality or etiquette. Then I'll head over now. My goal this time is to kill the Skull Ash Demon Emperor, and even lure out the Skull Black Demon Emperor to help me kill him. With a thought, Gu Qinsha actually appeared in the center of the Sin province, above the bottomless sea of Sin, in the crown of the heavenly demon tree. This was the ability to break through space-time and become seamless between two worlds. Back then, Grand Tutor Wenhong had used this method to teleport him to the vicinity of his fief. And now, the Life's Wish Sphere also had the ability to tear through space-time and teleport. It could be said that if Gu Qinsha and the others hid in the depths of the sphere, even God couldn't do anything to them. At this moment, the tree that was the touch of ghosts and gods was becoming more and more dazzling. Under the absorption of its roots, all the demonic herbs withered and turned into its own nutrients. The demonic energy in the sky gradually thinned, and the earth stopped hatching. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before the area around the Sea of Sin would be revitalized again. Zhuge Ye's incarnation was still sitting on it, but Lu Yu and the others were gone. They went to the demon realm deep in the seal to fight? Asked Gu Qinsha. That's right. The demon realm is the best opportunity for the 5 of them to train. Their cultivation has improved extremely fast in the past 6 months, and they've already cultivated to the 17th change, said Zhuge Ye's incarnation. Chapter 339. Gu Qinsha had never felt so emotional before. Everything felt like it had happened yesterday. In his land, he felt like half a year had passed in the blink of an eye. If he went into secluded meditation, he would have to spend dozens of years at a time. The world would have been turned upside down. It was normal to have such a mentality. It was normal for celestial cultivators to go into secluded meditation for hundreds of years. Although they had long lifespans, they knew more than normal people. They knew that time was not enough. Thinking about it, even experts who cultivated to the golden core Tao level could only live for 1,000 years. Each time they went into secluded meditation, they would die after dozens to 100 years. But apart from going into secluded meditation, they didn't dare to roam around and waste their cultivation time. If that happened, they wouldn't have a chance to live forever. To celestial cultivators, all worldly things were meaningless. Their life goal was to cultivate, to become stronger, to extend their lifespans, to break through to the next realm, and to live longer. For this goal, they could give up everything. Gu Qinsha felt that there was nothing wrong with such a mentality. Death was like a lamp going out. Once one died, all their struggles, hopes, and hard work would turn to dust. Since ancient times, many famous kings and generals had been like the sun in the sky. Now they had become dusty history books. Maybe not many people would read those words. So. At that moment, a beam of 5-colored light shot over like a bolt of lightning and landed on the treetop. Then, it settled down and turned into 5 people. It was Lu Yu, Mo Chao, Jiao Yang, Qianzhen, and Zhou Bu. The 5 of them formed a seal. The seal was like a birdcage, and within the cage was a demon god the size of an egg. The demon god's upper body was human and its lower body was that of a snake. It also had 6 arms and it was facing a vicious woman. 6-armed snake demon, Dao Realm 19 Transformation Demon Emperor? When Gu Chunsha saw this demon, he knew its cultivation. The 6-armed snake demon's body was no weaker than a giant elephant. It was a strong existence among monsters and its status was similar to that of the dark armor great demon. Now that the 6-armed snake demon was the size of an egg, it meant that it had cultivated to the size manipulation realm. The fact that Lu Yu's group of 5 was able to suppress the 19 transformation 6-armed Naga showed that their cultivation had reached an unfathomable realm. Gu Chunsha looked at their cultivation. They were all at peak Dao Realm Transformation 17, Dao Splitting Soul Separation. Like him, they had formed 3 souls. They were using the 3 souls to mix their Xiantian energy and gather it in their chest meridian acupoint. They swallowed and spat it out, turning it into talismans to form a golden pellet. In addition to that, each of them had a magical law in their sea of consciousness. That was the magical law of the 5 seasons divine swords, which had fused with their nascent divinities. That meant that they could injure experts of the 20th transformation or higher, and that their sea of consciousness was extremely sturdy, making it very difficult for people of a higher level than them to injure them. If one's Dantian sea of qi was damaged, it could still be healed. However, if one's sea of consciousness was damaged, one's primordial spirit would be damaged as well. There was no hope of recovery. To some extent, the sea of consciousness was much more important than the sea of qi. When Lu Yu's group of 5 were at Dao Realm Transformation 15, each of them could kill an 18 transformation golden pellet great Dao expert. That was because they had fused their primordial spirits with the 5 seasons divine sword. During this half a year, they had been cultivating on the touch of the ghost and god tree. They had also entered the depths of the demon region to fight. Under the guidance of Zhuge Ye's spiritual power incarnation, they had finally started to refine the magical law of the 5 seasons divine swords. Along with the experts that they had brought back for the touch of the ghost and god tree, they had obtained some energy in return. Now, each of the 5 of them could probably fight evenly with a 20 transformation expert. If the 5 of them worked together, they could even kill a 20 transformation expert. However, even if the 5 of them worked together, they wouldn't be a match for Gu Chunsha. Both of them were at the same realm, but Gu Chunsha had gone through numerous transformations. His body was so special that even the bloodline of a god couldn't compare to it. Gu Chunsha could now fight evenly with someone at the 22 transformation of the Dao realm and the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Half a year ago, he had fought with the Skull Ash Demon Emperor, but the Skull Ash Demon Emperor couldn't kill him. Now, after half a year, he had obtained the memory fragments of the previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, the North Star Will, and even the 3 Heavenly Venerables. He had comprehended them all, and with the help of the common people's wish sphere, his cultivation had been further purified and transformed. He was now half a golden pellet. Now, there was already half a golden pellet spinning in the chest meridian in his chest. The power of the pellet was nourishing his entire body. As he breathed, his flesh and blood were gradually being transformed. His body was originally the Sun-Moon Dragon body, which was one of the best supreme techniques in the world. Later, he had condensed the heavenly demon tree and comprehended some methods of the primordial chaos sacred body. Recently, he had obtained the North Star Will, Jiang Gongwang's memory fragments, and the 3 Heavenly Venerables' fragmented worldview. Although these things weren't cultivation techniques to him, they were much better than cultivation technique. For example, if he could feel the perspective of the three heavenly venerables and their thoughts, it would be the same as standing at the peak of countless spacetime. Right now, Gu Chencha's comprehension and perspective of the world were completely different. This broadened his mind and vision to a level that even a god couldn't compare to. He could use his Yuan Shen's Xiantian Gangqi with ease and basically wouldn't make a single mistake. Condensing a Jindan was a delicate task. Billions of talismans had to be compressed, arranged in different rows, and maintained independent operation. This was thousands of times more difficult than dismembering a flea with a butcher's knife. The process was closely linked, and as long as a tiny talisman made a mistake, it would cause a chain reaction. Just like a spark falling into a sea of oil, it would turn into a raging flame, a sea of fire between heaven and earth. Since ancient times, countless shocking geniuses had died at this stage. Even geniuses could definitely form a golden pellet, but things were unpredictable. At the crucial moment of forming a golden pellet, they might meet an enemy, or the essence chi of heaven and earth would fluctuate. Many unexpected events would cause the structure of the golden pellet to fluctuate. They wouldn't be able to control the huge amount of energy and would explode into dust. Gu Chensha was also at this crucial moment. Luckily, he was very meticulous. No matter how complicated the process was, it was smooth and there were no obstacles. Everything went smoothly. It was like the operation of the heavenly Tao, smooth and flawless. Lu Yu and the other four couldn't compare to him. Prince Qianzhen was the first to speak. We fought in the demon region and captured this six-armed snake demon. It actually became a demon emperor. If I kill it on the spot, I will waste all my blood and bones. It is a good material for making treasures. Now it is up to you. The bones of a Tao Realm 9 transformation glass jade body were good materials for making treasures, not to mention the 19 transformation, which could be resized at will. Let the Heaven Path tree absorb this six-armed snake demon. It can increase its strength by a lot, but that's it. Gu Chensha looked at Zhuge. Right, we need to use demons to deal with demons. This demon has a high status, so we can let it go and let it lure other demons to attack. Demons focus on using strength to break technique. They aren't good at scheming. As long as we use some small tricks, we can attract a large number of demons. Zhuge suddenly waved his hand and many talismans formed on the Heaven Path tree. These talismans entered the body of the six-armed snake demon. Slowly, the eyes of the six-armed snake demon became blurry. It crawled on the ground and kowtowed towards Zhuge. Go! Zhuge waved his hand and instantly, a power sent the six-armed snake demon back into the demon region. After the common people's wish ball is formed, Mr. Zhuge can use the power of the ball. It seems like we have more confidence in suppressing the evil demon. Gu Chensha could feel the power of the sphere even when he was here. Now, he could still move his mind, and the power of the sphere could break through space. It could even tear space apart. It was like Grand Preceptor Wenhong's seamless technique of two realms. At this moment, Gu Chensha felt that he had enough confidence in suppressing the demon region. Even if a demon emperor-level expert came, he would be able to kill him. Who knew how far away they were, but the power of the common people's wish ball could still rip open space. This was the power of a god. In truth, when the full power of the Heaven Demon Book was used, it exceeded that of a true god. After merging Buzhou Palace and Dragon Sect, the common people's wish ball's potential exceeded that of the Heaven Demon Book itself. As long as Gu Chensha was within a certain range, he would be able to sense the common people's wish ball and let it rip open space to transmit its power over. He didn't know how far he had to go before he wouldn't be able to sense the ball. Lu Yu, the five of you follow me down to capture the demon. Gu Chensha suddenly had an idea. Listen to my order. Lu Yu and the other 4 quickly knelt down on one knee and accepted the military order. They had been through many years of war, and military orders were like mountains. They were completely trained to obey Gu Chencha's orders. Even if they were to die, they wouldn't frown. Zhuge Ye nodded and didn't object. He continued to circulate his power, and let the tree absorb all kinds of free energy from heaven and earth to accelerate its growth. However, ever since this tree evolved into the touch of demon and god, its progress was very slow. Even after more than half a year of growth, there didn't seem to be any fundamental improvement. This was because this was the most crucial step, the evolution from the touch of demon and god to the heavenly demon tree. This last step of evolution was thousands of times harder than the previous evolutions. Of course, this was also the reason why the touch of demon and god didn't absorb any souls or flesh in the past 6 months. If it could absorb endlessly, the evolution wouldn't be so slow. Although Lu Yu and the other 4 fought in the demon area and killed monsters to feed the tree, it was still a drop in the bucket. There were many experts and monsters in the demon area. If they were not careful, they would be trapped. The 5 of them had to be careful and didn't dare to be reckless. Therefore, they didn't gain much. This time, Gu Chensha entered the demon area to plunder the essence, chi, and spirit of the monsters in the battle and turn them into nutrients for himself to condense the gold core. To condense the gold core, he needed a large amount of primordial spirit and gang chi. It was too slow to cultivate by himself. Using the primordial devil path and the demon path's plunder technique was the fastest. Moreover, he had already comprehended the unity of good and evil. Naturally, he had many ways to avoid the disadvantages of the plunder Tao. Swoosh! He and the 5 of them hid themselves and went deep into the demon area. At the place where the demon area and the bottomless sea of sin were sealed, several large nether iron fortresses were built within a radius of thousands of miles. After these nether iron fortresses were built, large arrays were set up. They constantly absorbed all kinds of devil chi and brewed into a large attack power. Gu Chensha looked deeply and found that the core of each nether iron fortress was a huge pool. It was the purgatory blood pool. The rolling devil chi was as thick as ink and was the source of energy. It was also mixed with a lot of blood and resentment. Shrill screams that sounded like purgatory could be heard from time to time. Chapter 340. There are too many nether iron fortresses here, and there are many experts. If we move around here, we will be attacked by them all. Lu Yu and the other 4 said to Gu Chensha, "Let's go around to the back and intercept the experts." That's right. Gu Chensha immediately understood that there were probably some demon overlord experts here. It was already good that he wasn't discovered. He sensed and realized that he could still use his mind to sense the common people's wish ball. He instantly relaxed. The 6 of them quickly left the demon monster dense region. After flying for who knew how long, the depths of the demon region became desolate. Not only was there black demonic energy everywhere, but there were also grasslands and swamps where demon herbs grew crazily. There were also many ancient skeletons and ancient ruins. One could see many ancient battle scars left behind by numerous celestial and demon wars. Since ancient times, when the demons of the demon region fought with the monster race, it was the monster-demon war. When they fought with gods, it was the god-demon war. When they fought with celestials, it was the celestial-demon war. The demons born in the demon region were born to fight and kill. Prince, there is a group of demon soldiers there. Qian Zhen pointed ahead. Gu Chensha noticed long ago that there was a group of ox demons advancing. There were roughly 3,000 to 5,000 of them, and the one leading them was a ox demon general with 7 changes in cultivation. This ox demon general would sometimes fly and circle in front. Sometimes it would land and walk. It was obvious that its Xiantian earth energy wasn't enough to support flying for long. The 7 changes in Tao realm required one to form an energy field around one's body, allowing one to fly. This was a crucial step. However, due to the limited Xiantian earth energy, one couldn't fly for long. Gu Chencha's body suddenly charged out. Right above this group of demons, his Xiantian earth energy covered them. Instantly, they all turned into a ball of blood mist. He didn't refine them and instead used the sun and moon sacrifice. The Emperor God sealing techniques sacrifice technique. At the start, he had the heaven sacrifice talisman and the target of his sacrifice was the heaven path. Now, without this talisman, he couldn't connect with the heaven path. However, he had something he could sacrifice. That was the common people's wish ball. The power and potential of this sphere actually surpassed that of a true god, so sacrificing it was not a big deal. The essence of sacrificial offerings was actually a channel for buying and selling. The Son of Heaven's God-sealing arts sacrificial art allowed one to quickly open a passageway, making it so that the process of the sacrificial offering wouldn't be affected at all. Gu Chensha sacrificed himself to the Orb of People's Hope not to obtain anything, because he himself was a part of the Orb of People's Hope, and this treasure was forged by him. He was using the sacrifice to open up some of the mysterious energy within the treasure, perfecting it, and at the same time, reducing the consumption of the ball. For example, when he was in the demon domain, his perception of this treasure was not as clear and sensitive as when he was outside. If he went deeper into the demon domain, he might not be able to sense this treasure. Moreover, this treasure could cut open space and transmit its power down, which consumed a lot of energy. Gu Chensha had opened the sacrificial passageway to make up for and strengthen his perception. Altar. Gu Chensha's primordial spirit moved. A primordial spirit flew out and activated the power of the primordial spirit. Immediately, the surrounding nether iron ores and nether jade turned into an altar that was about an acre in radius. When he was at Tao Realm Transformation 9, he was able to shape mountains and turn them into palaces. Now that he was at Tao Realm Transformation 17, he was many times stronger than before. This was why he was able to create huge scenes in the demon domain. This altar wasn't big, but it was really exquisite. After the demonic energy was removed, it gave off a holy aura. After these 3,000 to 5,000 minotaurs were killed, the soul blood ball floated above the altar. Gu Chensha suddenly punched forwards. He used the sun and moon sacrifice technique to open up a passageway. In an instant, all the soul blood balls disappeared. They passed through a specific passageway and entered the main area of the common people's wish ball. At the same time, in his fief, Zhuge Ye's true body, Lu Baiwe, Old Four, Jin Suebua, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise, the 6 great existences, sensed the fluctuations within the sphere of the life's wish. Suddenly, 3,000 to 5,000 blood essences and souls appeared and were absorbed by the sun hanging at the top of the main body space. In the inner world of the life's wish sphere, the eternal great sun was the location of the sphere's origin spirit. This essence spirit was the spirituality of Dragon Gate, Buzhou Palace, Heaven Monster Book, the memory fragments of the 3 celestial venerables, Go Chen's remnant soul intent, many ancient god-beast souls, and whose essence spirit, and even the power of the death immunity talisman, as well as the power of the essence spirits of the people from Calm's celestial department. Many gigantic existences fused together to form the elemental spirit of the people's wish sphere. The power of this essence spirit surpassed that of a true god. It was precisely because of this that the calm celestial department had the capital to contend with the profound immortal Tao sex. Wonderful! Zhuge Ye was the first to sigh. Your Highness, you really have a marvelous idea. You used the art of sacrifice to create an altar in the demon realm and offer souls to the common people's wish ball. That way, the power of the ball can spread throughout the demon realm, replenish the ball's energy, and accelerate its evolution. That's what the gods like. All gods like to offer sacrifices, because it's the fastest way to improve. Even the heavenly Daos like to offer sacrifices. Lu Baiwe pondered for a moment, then seemed to understand something. Zhuge Ye tapped his finger slightly, and a picture appeared in front of him. It was the demonic zone where Gu Chunsha was located, and the area within a radius of thousands of miles was vivid in his eyes. Furthermore, the will of the common people seemed to be able to break through time and space to transmit its power over, and that was because of the altar. As long as there was an altar, it could strengthen the connection, and sending power through space would consume very little energy. Gu Chensha's altar in the demon realm was the same as expanding the common people's wish ball's horizons. However, after the altar was built, it had to be offered frequently. Otherwise, it would lose its power and gradually lose its effectiveness. Back in the day, the barbarians had slaughtered their way into the borders and bathed several counties in blood. They had built altars and communicated with the gods in an attempt to open portals and send their armies over. It was Gu Chunsha who had destroyed the altar with a sea-splitting thunderbolt, then captured the divine emissary and turned him into Yi Ming. Because of that, Gu Chunsha had a very deep understanding of the Tao of sacrifice. Most of his cultivation had come from offering sacrifices to the heavenly Tao. I can build an altar in the demon realm and use it as the center to expand the calm celestial department's strength. There are so many devils in the demon realm, and they're so strong and rich in souls that they're perfect for the common people's wish ball. The demon realm is a treasure trove, Gu Chunsha calculated in his heart. Your Highness, in this altar, my cultivation speed can recover rapidly. Originally, our abilities would be somewhat restricted in the demon realm. Lu Yu and the others breathed on the altar. There was no devil chi surrounding them, and they could also feel some of the power transmitted by the common people's wish ball. The most crucial point of your cultivation now is to condense the 18 transformations Great Tao Golden Core. This core is the combination of the primordial spirit and innate stellar energy, and it requires a large amount of spiritual chi to replenish it. If you kill devils and refine them directly, there will likely be devil chi left behind, which will be detrimental to condensing the golden core. After killing devils and offering sacrifices here, the souls will be absorbed by the common people's wish ball, and the energy it gives back is equivalent to a supreme true God purifying the essence chi you need. Cultivating this way will not only allow you to travel 1,000 miles in a day, but it will also be safer and risk-free. Gu Chunsha then transmitted some thoughts to the 5 of them, telling them some of the methods of sacrifice. Once they reached a certain level, they could even teleport people to the demon realm from their fiefdoms. Jin Suebwa has already roped in nearly 1,000 second and third-rate immortal Tao profound sections. After I establish my foundation here, I'll break through space and send their experts over to form an immortal Tao army to fight against the devils. I'll have them sacrifice themselves and organize a war against the devils. Since ancient times, only the demon realm has invaded humans. We humans have never been able to invade the demon realm. Now that we have reached this era, we should change. Gu Chensha's thoughts were very clear. Next, he wanted to build an army of immortal cultivators. In the process of fighting against the demon realm, he would strengthen himself, and at the same time, cultivate loyal death warriors. Although he had nearly 1,000 second and third-rate immortal sects joining him and paying taxes, those sects were not truly loyal. With the common people's wish ball completed, the calming immortal department had a stable foundation. It was time to reorganize the immortal Tao. Immediately, Gu Chunsha transmitted his thoughts to the common people's wish ball through the sacrificial altar and notified Jin Suebwa. In the past, he could only communicate through the cycle box. Now, he could communicate through the common people's wish ball. He also understood that in the Celestial Designer Institute, there must be a similar treasure that was close to a god. In his fiefdom, Jean Suebwa, who had cultivated the common people's wish ball, immediately understood Gu Chencha's thoughts. He immediately nodded. Your Highness wants to reorganize the immortal Tao and train an immortal army. This is a good idea, but I feel that the immortal army is not as easy to command as puppet. Your Highness, it's best for you to collect demonic monster materials and create the common people's divine general puppet. Puppets are puppets and humans are humans. Gu Chensha knew what Jean Suebwa was thinking. Right now, the immortal sects that have joined us are still in a state of disunity. They are at a stage where they can govern themselves. If we can draw out their expert disciples and train them to strengthen their cohesiveness, then their production and taxes will greatly increase. This subordinate understands. Jean Suebwa immediately understood. This was like an official managing the common people. If the common people were scattered and farmed on their own, then the production of food would be very low. But if the official organized the common people to open up canals, divide the land, and mediate disputes, then the production of food would greatly increase. This was the power of order. Chapter 341. After explaining a few things to Jean Suebwa, Gu Chensha sent him to reorganize the immortal Tao. As an elder of the everlasting celestial sect, he had a wide network of contacts in the immortal Tao. After joining the Celestial Pacification Department, the task of contacting the immortal Tao was handed over to him. If it weren't for him, the Celestial Pacification Department would probably still be struggling. Jean Suebwa was a very profound person. Originally, Gu Chensha, Lu Baiwe, and the fourth Black Tortoise didn't trust him very much. They just wanted to make use of him. Later, Zhuge Ye came to the Celestial Pacification Department and saw through Jean Suebwa's foundation at a glance. He personally negotiated with Jean Suebwa to help him break away from the peerless scripture's control and become the Lord of 5 Stars. Only then did he truly become the Celestial Pacification Department's right-hand man. Until now, a part of Jean Suebwa's primordial spirit could also control the life's wish sphere. He was of one mind with the Celestial Pacification Department, so there was no room for separation. With Jean Suebwa's current aptitude and strength, he could definitely accomplish many great things. Many of the second and third-rate profound immortal sects also had hidden treasures. These treasures might not even be recognizable to them, or they might even be fragments of ancient treasures. If these things could be excavated and analyzed by the life's wish sphere, it could also strengthen the power of one's body. Heavenly Demon Tree, Touch of the Divine and Demon. At this moment, the touch of the divine and demon tree growing on the bottomless sea of sin suddenly began to shrink. This was the work of Zhuge Ye's dermic incarnation. Since Gu Chensha had already set up an altar in the demon realm, there was no point in planting the touch of the ghostly tree here. The best choice was to transplant it into the world's wish sphere and use it as a tree to stabilize the world and adjust the environment within the sphere. It would also help the world squirm, allowing it to better absorb various types of energy from the outside world, allowing the world to grow faster. Finally, the touch of the divine and demon tree turned into a small sapling and flew into the hands of Zhuge Ye's dermic incarnation. Then, with the tree in hand, he flew into the sky. In fact, he could borrow the power of the life's wish sphere to instantly break through space-time and reach the interior of the sphere. However, doing so would consume a lot of the sphere's energy. He was still in the stage of meticulous planning, and the sphere was still in its growth phase. It was best not to consume too much energy since it had just condensed. Therefore, he could only choose to fly back. Fortunately, the magic power of this incarnation was also extremely strong. It could absorb spiritual energy and convert it into magic power, so its speed was not very slow. Not long after, he crossed the vast lands of the great Yonko and arrived at Gu Chencha's fief. He entered the life's wish sphere and merged with his true body. Then, with a toss, that little sapling flew out again, taking root at the center of this world. The touch of the ghost and god tree grew once again, blotting out the sky and turning into a huge shade that covered a radius of hundreds of miles. Furthermore, its roots were deeply embedded into the soil. Buzz, the world inside the sphere of life's wish underwent many changes. The vital energy became more stable, and the wriggling speed in the depths of the space-time turbulence outside sped up. This tree itself was a peerless treasure that could change the world and adjust vital energy. If this tree was transplanted into the life's wish sphere, it would complement each other and it could further purify the world within the sphere. One tree, one world, one tree. Mr. Zhuge's care is really exquisite. Gu Chensha could clearly sense what Zhuge Ye was doing from the demon region altar. He felt that his connection with the life's wish sphere was getting closer and closer. Buzz, just at that moment, a large number of demons appeared in the distance and they all surged towards the altar. Gu Chensha could vaguely see the six-armed snake demon behind the demons. Zhuge Ye had placed a seal on the six-armed snake demon so that she would lure other demons to their death. After the heavenly demon tree was taken away, Gu Chensha had built the altar and was about to head out to hunt demons. Now that the demons had come to him, it was obvious that this was another of Zhuge Ye's plans. Human cultivators actually dare to build an altar in our demon region. Demon Emperor Ba Mei, you actually managed to find a few pieces of meat. At that moment, the demon army in the distance noticed Gu Chensha and the altar, as well as Lu Yu and the other four. A few demon emperors conversed with the six-armed snake demon. The six-armed snake demon's real name was Demon Emperor Ba Mei. In the demon region, anyone with snake attributes was the descendant of the Tun Ri Ba Mei god. This was why they called themselves Ba. Demon Emperor Xie Du, these human cultivators are truly gutsy. However, their bodies contain extremely strong essence blood and souls that will be of great nourishment to us. Demon Emperor Ba Mei pointed at the altar and said, "Let's attack together and capture these humans. How about we split their souls and bodies?" Okay. Demon Emperor Xie Wu's body was covered in bloodlight and he looked like a skinned blood man. His main body was a blood corpse and after being nourished by demonic energy, he turned into an evil demon. He was really strong and similar to Demon Emperor Ba Mei. He was also at the Dao Realm 19 transformation and could change his size at will. Demon region didn't bring anyone stronger than him. That was because in the demon region, if one worked with someone stronger than oneself, that person would be swallowed up. There were no laws in the demon region, and the strong ate the weak. It was the law of the jungle. The Eros demon monarch's 30 to 40,000 subordinates were all temporarily subdued. There were ox-headed demons, horse-faced demons, winged demons, flame demons, and so on. The subordinates of the Xiedu demon emperor were all elite. They were all darkness armor great demons with wings that allowed them to fly. In fact, they even had weapons made of darkness iron. There were many runes on those weapons that gave them incredible killing power. Because of that, Demon Emperor Xie Wu looked down on Demon Emperor Ba Mei. Kill. Energy surged around Demon Emperor Xie Wu's body, and he shrunk to the size of a fist. The energy turned into a blood-colored rainbow that swept towards the altar. But before he reached the side of the altar, the stars around him shone and a cage appeared. This cage imprisoned him within, directly above the sacrificial altar. Lightning, come. Gu Chensha waved his hand and Xiantian energy shook, forming a giant lightning bolt in the cage. The lightning shook. Demon Emperor Xie Wu didn't even have time to cry out before he was killed. Sacrifice. Then, Gu Chensha used the Sun and Moon sacrifice skill to sacrifice the Demon Emperor to the common people's wish ball. A Dao Realm 19 transformation Demon Emperor was something he could casually kill like crushing an ant. After killing Demon Emperor Xie Wu, Gu Chunsha didn't attack. Instead, Lu Yu and the other 4 flew out. The 5 of them worked together and instantly, a 5-colored light formed a 10-mile giant whirlpool that sucked all the monsters in. Then, the whirlpool flew to the altar. Lu Yu and the other 4 started to sacrifice according to Gu Chencha's method. Their sacrifices were much slower than Gu Chencha's, but they were gradually beginning to show results. Tens of thousands of monsters were sacrificed, and then a gentle power passed through space and time to descend upon their bodies, causing the embryonic gold cores in their chests to become even more stable. This was the power from the common people's wish ball. This power could strengthen their chest acupoints and make the golden core formation process smoother. Gu Chunsha sacrificed to the common people's wish ball, but he didn't want any power. That was because he was a part of the ball, and sacrificing it was the same as sacrificing himself. King, if this continues, we will be able to form the golden core soon. Lu Yu and the other 4 finished their sacrifice and carefully felt the power within. Not bad. As long as you continue to kill monsters to sacrifice, not only can you strengthen the power of the ball, but you can also purify the god bloodline in your bodies. It will increase your talent and cultivation, making it easier for you to break through. This is a win-win situation. The relationship between God and man is a trade and also a balance. It is like the imperial court and the people. The people give their resources to the imperial court, and the imperial court provides them with good order and maintains production. They also gather the resources and do many things that are beneficial to the people. This is the relationship between God and man. Gu Chunsha was suddenly enlightened. The people who hold great power in the imperial court can change the fate of the people with just a word. Aren't they as powerful as gods? Faith, sacrifice, fate, Son of Heaven energy. So that is the case. Everything is so simple. The cycle of the heavens and the difference between man and God is just like that. Gu Chunsha felt that his spiritual sense had expanded like never before. In the depths of his consciousness, endless Yuan Shun power surged. All of a sudden, his spiritual sense was born again. He could now multitask 300,000 times at a time. A long time ago, he could multitask 100,000 times at a time. However, as his cultivation and realm increased, he could gradually multitask 150,000 times at a time. Now, he suddenly understood the Tao of God, the Tao of the imperial court and the people, which was the Tao of order, the Tao of circulation, and the Tao of yin and yang. His spirit had actually doubled in strength. With such a huge spirit support, Gu Chencha's speed of forming the golden core doubled. However, the heaven and earth spiritual qi in the infernal area was tainted with the demonic nature and needed to be purified. This was much more difficult than cultivating outside. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would not be able to absorb the demonic qi in the infernal area. If they absorbed even a little, they would be demonized and become an existence that was neither human nor ghost. From then on, they would lose their sense of self and become a complete demon. The 6-armed snake demon Ba-Charm Demon Emperor was trembling with fear. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. Go. Bring more demons over. Gu Chunsha waved his hand. After you have made enough contributions, I will cleanse you of the demonic qi. Then, you can go to my fief to cultivate, repair bridges and roads, and accumulate good deed. Only then will you be able to get rid of your identity as a demon and be accepted by the calming immortal department. The 6-armed snake demon Ba-Charm Demon hurriedly left. Those fiend subordinates were naturally sacrificed by Lu Yu and the others. This time, the life's wish sphere has benefited greatly. It actually understood the Tao of God and the secret of the Son of Heaven energy. Gu Chunsha looked at the pitch-black infernal area silently. Suddenly, he felt the aura of some demon god experts. Chapter 342. Among the demon race, there were many powerful demons that far surpassed humans. Since ancient times, demon god-level experts had been plentiful. However, there were very few high-level combat power, such as those at the sage level. That was because the demonic nature was not orthodox and did not conform to the order of heaven and earth. Beyond the realm of 36 transformations, beyond the 3 realms and beyond the 5 elements, the demon race could never reach it. Since ancient times, the demon race had never produced experts at the level of the 3 celestial venerables. The characteristic of demons was that there were many, and there were many mid-level and high-level experts, but there were no top-notch experts. In fact, it was the same for humans who cultivated demonic arts and evil technique. They could achieve very quickly in the early stages, but the risk of chi deviation increased greatly in the later stages, and it was basically difficult to reach the highest realm. Even so, if a demon god-level expert came, he could kill Gu Chensha at any time. Even if the common people's wish sphere could sense him at any time, it was still very dangerous. If he was inside the sphere, he would not be afraid of being killed by a demon god-level expert. However, he was in the demon domain, and it was very easy for a super expert to cut off his connection with the sphere and kill him. However, the good thing was that a part of his soul imprint had merged with the sphere's primordial spirit. Even if he was killed, with the help of Zhuge and the rest, he could use the sphere's power to revive. However, his vitality would be greatly damaged, and his cultivation would be reduced by 90%. Moreover, it would probably take several years or even decades for him to revive. After a few decades, the world would be in turmoil, and there would be nothing left for him to do. You guys guard the altar here. I will enter the depths of the demon domain again. Gu Chensha had comprehended the secrets of man and God. The power of his primordial spirit had increased from 150,000 to 300,000, and his strength had more than doubled. Now, he could even kill a lawful embodiment of heaven and earth expert. Yes. Lu Yu and the rest naturally obeyed. They cultivated and refined what they had obtained from the sacrifice inside the altar, and it would take them a lot of time to consolidate their cultivation. With the altar as the center, there was no demonic chi in a radius of 2 to 3 acres, so they could cultivate and absorb spirit chi to recover. The spiritual chi absorbed in the infernal domain was rich in demonic chi, but the altar seemed to have a filtering function. In this way, the altar became a supply point. Gu Chensha's sea of consciousness and sea of chi had their own independent space. They were condensed by the grand sacrifice of the heavenly abode. The astral energy and primordial spirit power in his body were boundless and vigorous. In the demon area, he did not need to replenish them. Aside from that, he had also obtained many cultivation methods of the Maha suppression scripture, so it was normal for him to convert demonic aura into nutrients. As soon as he left the altar, the demonic energy swarmed over, wanting to invade Gu Chensha's body. However, a huge black sun appeared behind his head. As it rotated, it created a vortex that sucked in all of the devil chi. The demonic energy became a kind of fuel for his Maha Black Sun spell. The Maha Black Sun was a profound technique in the Maha suppression scripture. It absorbed demonic aura and turned it into a black sun. It could be used for both offense and defense. It could also be used to fly, set up formations, kill enemies, protect oneself, and prevent demonic aura from invading one's body. This was created by the King of Gods, the Maha God. Gu Chensha had obtained a more or less complete technique from the Skull Ash Demon Emperor. Now that he could control it with his primordial spirit power, it was a piece of cake. Not only did the demonic aura in the demon area not invade his body, it was even absorbed by the Maha Black Sunday buzz. Countless demonic aura surged into the Maha Black Sunday. In a short period of time, the area around Gu Chensha turned into a vacuum. It was a scene caused by the demonic aura being sucked out and the surrounding demonic aura not being able to replenish it. The Maha Black Sun instantly expanded and enveloped Gu Chunxia. The dense demonic aura condensed and turned into a black crystal. Outside the black crystal was the Maha Black Sunday. It was rumored that it could incinerate all sins. Although the Maha Black Sun was a technique, it also contained a method to refine artifact. The material was demonic aura. First, the demonic aura was compressed and turned into a demonic crystal. Then, it would turn into demonic flames on the outside. The more demonic aura it absorbed, the more powerful it would be. If one cultivated this technique for a long time, they could even extract the demonic aura in their body and turn it into the path. At that time, the Maha Black Sun would turn into a demonic statue. In fact, the Maha suppression scripture that God Maha created had many techniques. Most of them were techniques to turn the demonic into the path and turn evil back to the right path. From this, it could be seen that although God Maha was the king of evil gods, he was not evil. On the contrary, he was a righteous god. Gu Chunxia got Lu Yu and the others to guard the altar while he entered the depths of the demon area to explore. This was so that when the few of them left, the altar that he had built with great difficulty would be destroyed. It must be known that the altar was built in the demon area. It was like a torch in the darkness, attracting demonic beasts. However, it was too much of a waste of time to wait on the altar. Therefore, he took the initiative to enter the depths of the demon area to find an opportunity. Although the depths of the demon area were dangerous, and according to ancient records, cultivators would definitely die if they entered it. However, there were treasures everywhere. In the past, some immortal Tao mystic sects liked to send disciples who committed crimes into the demon area to suffer. Many disciples died there, while some disciples had a fortuitous encounter and survived in the demon area. Then, they walked out of the demon area and took revenge on the immortal Tao mystic sect. In the tens of thousands of years of history of the immortal Tao, there were a few such examples. Other than that, there were many treasures in the demon area. He wanted to try his luck and sharpen his combat techniques so that he could cultivate the golden core of the great Tao faster. The demon area was vast and borderless. Most of the places were filled with rotting blood swamps and vicious demonic grass plains. There were also pitch-black mountain ranges. It was extremely boring and far from the green mountains and rivers of the land of infinity. After staying in the demon domain for a long time, as long as there was a chance to leave, even a small town's smelly ditch or stable would feel like a paradise. This was especially so in the world. Everything was gray, and there was not a single clear day. Living here for a long time without being able to see the light, one would indeed go crazy and become hysterical. Gu Chunxia left the altar that he built and headed forward. On the way, he killed some demonic beasts, but he didn't meet any experts. He didn't build another altar. Instead, he sent the essence, blood and souls of the demonic beasts into the black Mahakasayapa to increase its strength. As he entered the depths, he felt like he had lost contact with the common people's wish sphere. Instantly, that feeling of loneliness, disappointment, and being exiled from the world rose up in him. However, this was the feeling that Gu Chunxia wanted. He knew that being exiled in the demon area was also a form of training. He felt that before he reached the golden core of the great Tao, the potential of his primordial spirit could still be improved. Now that he could multitask 300,000 times, he might even be able to raise it to 1,000,000 times. Before the 18th Tao realm transformation, the stronger one's primordial spirit was, the better. If one could multitask 1,000,000 times, then one's talent would be close to that of a saint. That way, the golden core he formed would be abnormally strong, and it would help him walk further on the path of cultivation. Gu Chenchia's way of thinking was different from ordinary cultivators. He had even more memories than the Black Immortal Tao sect leader. The will of the North Star Empire, the memories of the three celestials, and the fragmented memories of the previous Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, were enough for him to digest for a while. At the same time, he learned about cultivation secrets that countless experts, and even gods, didn't know about. Especially the news about divergent. Divergents were people who comprehended a law that surpassed the heavenly Tao and broke free from the restrictions of talent. They could break through the laws and reach a higher realm. The Black Cosmos sect leader, Chang Weiyang, was rumored to be a divergent. Gu Chensha had obtained the memory fragments of the three sky venerables, so he had a deeper understanding of this realm. He could vaguely sense that talent was a kind of restriction that the heavenly Tao placed on people. Even the Lord of Seven Stars, Zhuge Ye, with his talent, could only reach the 36 Tao transformations. It was impossible to jump out of the three realms and reach another realm outside of the five elements. Only divergents could reach this realm. This was similar to the real world. In the real world, if a commoner wanted to be promoted, he had to take the imperial examinations. He went from the lowest Tong Xing to elementary scholar, high scholar, and grand scholar. As for high official positions, one had to be a grand scholar. If one compared it to cultivation, official positions were equivalent to realms. Tong Xing, elementary scholar, high scholar, and grand scholar were equivalent to talent. Only with enough talent could one cultivate to a higher realm. If a commoner didn't pass the imperial examinations, he would never be able to become an official. Unless it was, suddenly, two words jumped into Gu Chensha's sea of consciousness, and that was rebellion. If a commoner rebelled, he could become an emperor. If a cultivator rebelled, what could he do? If a commoner took the imperial examinations and became an official, he could at most become a prime minister or marquis. It was impossible for him to become an emperor. This was decided by the system of the imperial court. If a commoner rebelled, although it was dangerous and had almost no chance of success, if it succeeded, it would be the will of the heavens. Suddenly, Gu Chensha seemed to have grasped something. His common people heaven-mending technique was originally comprehended from the lives of ordinary people. Now that he had comprehended the secrets of cultivation from them, it was normal. He had always believed that the imperial court, the commoners, and the order of the heavenly Tao were inseparable. In such a lonely environment like the demon region, Gu Chensha seemed to have broken through some kind of mental shackles. He recalled all the things that had happened since he started cultivating and comprehended them. He seemed to have grasped some key points of divergence. If I become a divergent, then it is equivalent to comprehending something and breaking through. I won't be restricted by talent. Gu Chensha grasped some key points, but he was unable to comprehend them. However, he wasn't anxious at all. How could it be so easy to become a divergent? He didn't think about reaching the heavens in one step. For example, if a commoner wanted to rebel, he could become an emperor? That was just wishful thinking. Chapter 343. Talent had nothing to do with one's cultivation realm. It was just a restriction that the heavenly Tao placed on one. As long as one broke this restriction, even a fool could ascend to the highest realm. The core of Gu Chensha's common people mending heaven art was that if the heavenly Tao was lacking, it would be filled by common people. This meant that even a rock in the mud could become a bright star in the sky. Lu Baiyue's common people mending heaven art was even more radical. It meant that the heavenly Tao was wrong. This was already very close to becoming a divergent. Gu Chensha's cultivation of these two arts complemented each other like the flow of yin and yang. He had already grasped that mysterious feeling. Although it was impossible for him to become an extremely rare divergent since the beginning of time, he had grasped some of its essence. As his cultivation improved, his vision broadened, he gained more knowledge, and he accumulated more experience. It was not impossible for him to become undivergent. No wonder Chang Wei-yang from the Universe Gate dominated the Immortal Path Gate. Even the Heaven-Earth Gate couldn't do anything to her. If I become a divergent, I have a chance to surpass the 36 transformations and become someone on the level of the 3 heavenly venerables. Gu Chensha pondered again. The Immortal Path Gate and the 3 heavenly venerables have a deep conflict. It's just that the 3 heavenly venerables are too powerful, and the Immortal Path can't do anything to them. Chang Wei-yang hasn't reached the heavenly venerables level, so she can only endure. Becoming a divergent didn't mean that one would immediately become an expert on the level of the 3 heavenly venerables. One still had to bitterly cultivate, and the process of cultivation was even more difficult. There were many tribulations, natural disasters, and man-made disasters. Sometimes, even the people around them would be affected. This was equivalent to the traders in history. If there was a slight mistake, their entire family would be killed. After becoming a divergent, they became even more terrifying. They were not tolerated by the heavenly Taos. In the records of ancient times, divergent were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. However, those that surpassed the 36 transformations and jumped out of the 3 realms were even rarer. In the primordial desolate era and the primordial era, there were some divergent who died during tribulations. It seemed that in the limited historical records, the only divergents who could transcend beyond the 3 realms and the 5 elements were the 3 great Empyreans. Apart from them, there was also the possibility that God Maha had transcended. It was also possible that he was still at the peak of the 36 transformations. Even the ancient Xingqiong clan, even though it tore apart the heavens and earth, still suffered a tribulation. Its body split apart and was suppressed in all directions. This could also be considered its death. As for the celestial talisman emperor, many acknowledged that he wasn't a divergent but an even stronger existence. It was true that divergents were strong, but they weren't strong enough to suppress the heavenly Tao. Divergent Xingqiong clan. Gu Chensha thought about it again. Now I have a goal and direction. It'll help me perfect my mortal life heaven-mending technique. When Zhuge obtains all of the Lord of 7 Stars memories and legacies, I'll be able to peer into Jiang Gongwang's thoughts. Perhaps I'll even be able to learn how he fought the Xingqiong clan. Gu Chensha always felt that the Xingqiong clan was a hidden danger. Now that Wu Dangkong had obtained the heavenly sacrifice talisman, he would definitely learn the Son of Heaven's God sealing technique. Only then would he be able to save the Xingqiong clan. Moreover, the Great Might dynasty was eyeing the overseas territories. With a saint-level expert like the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, it was very likely that he already knew the Xingqiong clan's secrets. True sages could sense the workings of heaven and earth. Their thoughts could see through the past and the future. They could even use their spiritual power to peer into the past and comprehend the deepest secrets of spacetime. Some ancient secrets were no secret to sages. However, sages were too strong. They were bound by the heavenly Tao and couldn't do as they pleased. They couldn't even exist forever. They could only merge with the Tao and become part of the laws, merging with heaven and earth to strengthen the order of the heavenly Tao. Occasionally, they would show their sacred spirit. In the land of infinity, the only saint-level experts were Li Wanlong, the Black Heaven-Earth Sex Sect Master, the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, and the Barbarian Saint. Apart from them, there might be some hidden existences. However, these 4 saint-level experts seemed to have remained in the world because of some great change. They didn't choose to merge with the Tao. In Gu Chensha's sea of consciousness, his essence spirit was completely enlightened. In the depths of the demon domain, his body was wrapped in the Black Maha Sunday. He was constantly absorbing demonic chi to form a black sun. Inside were demonic crystals with runes. On the outside were black flames. Within the flames, a demonic statue was about to be born. As for those demonic crystals, after continuously absorbing demonic chi and turning them into black flames, they had already started to become pure and transparent. They even showed a glazed luster. This was the transformation of demonic qi into spirit. The demonic qi in the demon domain was filled with violent energy. It was the demonic energy that was formed after spiritual qi was polluted. As for the Black Maha Sun technique, it used a special technique to circulate and vibrate. It extracted the demonic nature of the demonic qi as fuel, leaving only pure spiritual qi. Therefore, in the depths of the Black Maha Sun, the demonic qi that had its demonic nature extracted turned into a layer of spirit crystals. As Gu Chencha's essence spirit compressed it, the spirit crystals started to show a glazed luster. After that, a thin layer of purple was born. This was the characteristic of an immortal crystal. When a cultivator was from 1 to 19 transformations, they mainly absorbed spiritual energy. After reaching 20 transformations, all the soul, flesh, blood, and energy would turn into spiritual power. At that time, absorbing spiritual energy was far from enough, and one had to absorb celestial energy. However, only when one reached 20 transformations would one have the ability to directly absorb celestial energy. However, the Great Massacre God technique could allow one to absorb celestial energy at a low level. The theory was through a special thought frequency to communicate with the wills of the various dimensions, allowing celestial energy to leak down. Then, it would merge with the energy of other dimensions to form a type of essence energy that could be absorbed by the human body. If not, if a low-level person absorbed celestial energy, they would explode right away. That year, the black tortoise baby injected a bit of celestial energy into Gu Chencha's body. Even with his terrifying sun-moon-dragon body, his meridians were nearly damaged. As long as spiritual energy was compressed to the extreme, it could be turned into celestial energy. However, a huge amount of spiritual energy was compressed by experts and only a small amount of celestial energy was formed. If Gu Chencha wanted to form a golden core, he needed to continuously extract essence spirit and Xiantian energy to merge with his Dantian. This consumed a lot of life essence, but in the demon region it was tough to communicate with the celestial dimension. Once celestial energy was contaminated by demonic energy, it would be really hard to get rid of it. So, why not break down the demonic energy here and turn it into spiritual energy before refining it into spirit crystals? Unless Gu Chencha cultivated the 20 changes, concentration, dispersion, impermanence, and dermic power, it would be a piece of cake for him to move about freely in the infernal domain. Now, he could only do it bit by bit and carefully. Actually, when he cultivated in the endless land, he could use the common people's wish ball to absorb more, and his cultivation speed would be thousands of times faster than now. But in the demon region, he could calculate bit by bit and experience the difficulties of being a cultivator. That was the only way he could train his state of mind. 4 generations, the immortal disciples who were banished to the demon region had an even tougher life. That was because they did not know the Maha Black Sun technique and did not have a strong foundation like Gu Chencha. Gu Chencha sat quietly in the depths of the demon region and dissected the demonic and spirituality in the demonic energy. He could almost understand the fundamental nature of a human being in this world. Newborn babies were pure at first and had no good or evil. But as they grew older, they would be tainted by the mortal world, and all sorts of strange things would be born. Wasn't it the same for spiritual energy? In the demon region, it would turn into demonic energy. But in the endless land, it would maintain the nature of spiritual energy. The endless land also has the mortal world. It is inevitable that spiritual energy will be tainted in the land and not pure. With a single thought, Gu Chencha comprehended the nature of spiritual energy. Instantly, some black mist seeped out from his consciousness, Qi Si and all his orifices. This was the impure and turbid nature of the spiritual energy that he had absorbed over the years in the endless land. With that, his essence spirit was truly pure like the void, untainted by a single speck of dust. If he were to continue cultivating like this, he might truly have the chance to come into contact with the laws of the heaven and earth. Shing. Just then, without any warning or warning, a sword beam neared the Maha-Black Sun that Gu Chernsha was cultivating and slashed out. The killing intent of the sword was concentrated, and it moved stealthily without a trace. It only burst forth when it reached the side of Gu Chernsha, bringing with it an undisguised killing aura and an unforgettable hatred. That sword was imbued with powers. Clearly, it was an expert of 20 transformations and above that had come to ambush him. In that instant, the sword had already slashed through the Maha-Black Sun and ripped apart the inner layer of crystals. It was about to destroy Gu Chensha's body. Gu Chernsha had yet to cultivate the golden core of the Great Path, nor had he mastered the 19 transformations. His physical body was relatively weak. If his physical body was slashed, while his essence spirit could escape, it would be difficult for him to find a suitable physical body, and he might never be able to reach the golden core of the Great Path. One had to know that while one could reincarnate in a corpse at 16 transformations, no matter what body it would not be as compatible as the original body and soul. Moreover, Gu Chensha's body contained the Sun-Moon Dragon blood and even the power of time and space. The moment his physical body was slashed, his connate astral chi would dissipate into the world as well. That was because there was no dantian to store it. Gu Chensha's body flashed as his essence spirit and connate astral chi surged out of his body to push him to dodge. He was like a willow in the wind, gentle and ethereal. He had comprehended so many things, so how could he be ambushed so easily? The sword landed where he had been, and the ground within dozens of miles was turned to dust. Jing Fanxing, you actually came to the demon region to kill me. It must have been tough on you. Gu Chernsha looked at the sword in the air from afar. The sword floated in the demonic energy and no one was holding it. But then, the sword changed and turned into a human shape. It was Jing Fanxing. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.